Justin Jefferson, a no-show during organized team activities, working on a contract per sources with the team. Such an impacting event that could take place that will trigger and cascade on down to other contracts. Even non-wide receiver contracts will be affected by the JJ deal, as would another contract like Dak getting extended. It's all interconnected, but Brandon Aiyuk's deal very much tied to this JJ deal because everything increases every time any contract above or below the Aiyuk contract is signed. So we're going to talk about this. Are we worried about JJ? What's he want? He's looking at $34+ million, probably something along $35 million a year, something along $100 million plus guaranteed. And the Vikings are worried about paying him that amount of money. Frankly, everybody that waited should be they're ashamed. I'm ashamed of them. They should be ashamed of themselves for waiting. Every team that waited to sign a wide receiver includes the Minnesota Vikings. It includes the 49ers. Anybody that waited is overpaying now. It's not a good business decision at all to wait. There's not one single solid explanation as to why a team would wait this long to sign a deal with a player, i.e. the Niners and Aiyuk or the Vikings and JJ. It makes no sense at all. It's horrible financial decision making by all the parties involved. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence's a potential deal in the works, Rashee Rice, Bryce Young, Tua Tagovailoa, Deebo Samuel, and the double-decker. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
File on in. First super chat gets immediate attention. Every super chat's going to get immediate attention around these parts. Hey, Smitty, love the show. A dynasty question. Laporta over JD5 in the third round if you have CJ or Josh Allen. And this is a 1 QB. I don't know if you're saying it's super flex. I'm going to assume I'll answer it both ways, but if it's a super flex, you're taking JD5. If you only have one of CJ or Josh Allen. If it's a one or the okay, and first, do you take Allen or CJ? I take Allen. Josh Allen's the number one fantasy football quarterback, and has been. You know, like look at last year. He scored freaking 50 total touchdowns from start to finish last year, from the beginning of the year through the playoffs. The guy's an absolute touchdown maniac. I love Stroud, but he just doesn't have the rushing upside on top of it. It's hard to outscore running back / quarterbacks like Lamar and Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. They score so many touchdowns on the ground. So Josh Allen for me. And then if this is a 1 QB dynasty league, then I'm taking Laporta hands down. If it's a super flex, JD5 shouldn't even be there in round 3. So if it's a dynasty startup. So that should answer your question there. But in a 1 QB, I assume it's a super flex, or why would you be asking this question, right? If you're drafting and it's a one QB, so it has to be super flex. But Sean, maybe call into the show when I open the phone line and we'll dig into it a little bit further. Let's get into this news right here. JJ, not a no-show for organized team activities. Not the end of the world. This is not like training camp. You're missing time yet. But this is getting kind of concerning because, number one, we don't know that we love JJ McCarthy right now. You know I don't love JJ McCarthy right now for Justin Jefferson. This whole JJ to JJ thing, it isn't penciling out for me to get the kind of production that we could maybe get out of JJ year in and year out. And the fantasy football community is also not, I think, loving this marriage because his ADP hasn't moved a single bit. As soon as the draft came, we thought his 6 or 7 JJ, his 6 or 7 overall ADP would move upward to 4, 3, kind of restore itself, right? Now that he finally got a quarterback that isn't Sam Darnold. But J.J. McCarthy has not eased the minds of anyone, and rightfully so until he proves it. because he's still at 6'7", which is a pretty good value. Let's just say it right now. If you're drafting at 6'7" and JJ's there, I'm fine with that because he's almost quarterback proof to a degree. He's not quarterback proof to where he's the same player that he was and will always be, no matter who the quarterback is. He's still going to suffer touchdown-wise. The offense might not live in the red zone, etc., etc. It does impact him. He's not truly quarterback-proof, but he's quarterback-proof enough, more quarterback-proof than really anybody could be other than him, right? He's the number one QB-proof type of guy. MHJ will be that too, but he's got Kyler. But if either of their quarterbacks go down, look at Jamar Chase, he's QB-proof. Look how he did with Browning. He still did fine. So JJ will be good. He'll be fantastic at 6, 7, 8 overall. But I'm not excited about JJ McCarthy. And them drafting JJ McCarthy almost makes me feel more worried than if they didn't do anything, because long term, we know they're marrying themselves to JJM for 2-3 years. And if this guy's about to re-up and sign a deal that keeps him essentially in Minnesota his entire, elite career, I almost feel more anxious about JJM being married to JJ than to have at least the unknown of next year. Shedeur Sanders or the Dak Prescott's a free agent because Jerry sleeps on extending Dak all offseason, and that actually plays out to not happen. And then Dak goes over to Minnesota or something. At least my mind can wander about JJ's long-term value. But now that he's married to JJ McCarthy, who I didn't believe in before the draft, and I'm not hearing anything positive that's making me feel like this is going to go in a different direction. I'm really worried about JJ restoring back to 2, 3, 1 overall dynasty value. He'll always be 6, 7, 8. He'll always be able to be drafted there in my mind with ease. I'm not worried about it. But God, we're not going to see this guy fully unlocked. It kind of feels like he's going to be capped at a certain level and not ever be able to become the monster he could become. JJ McCarthy's not a volume guy. Like Kirk Cousins was a volume guy. Love him or hate him, can't win in the playoffs, whatever you want to say about Kirk Cousins delivered fantasy football glory, and he was delivering volume. And JJ McCarthy's never been able to do that. Not saying he can't, but he has never done it. So to assume he can just fill the shoes of Kirk Cousins and facilitate to everybody. Hawkinson, just feeding everybody. Hawkinson, Addison, JJ, a lot of footballs to go around. Live in the red zone, a lot of complexities involved. I'm just a little bit worried about this situation. But on the contract note, this deal, if he signs and inks this extension, it's going to cascade down and affect Aiyuk and affect everybody involved. So the Niners, who are sitting on their hands right now, continuing to not sign Aiyuk, the odds percentage that Aiyuk plays on his 5th-year option goes up every day. Here's a chart. Let's say this is week number 1. This is now, and this is the odds percentage he gets a deal. 100% he's going to get it extended. 0% he's going to get extended. Actually, let's go to January. January now in week 1. This was like in the 80s or 90s, right? Aiyuk's going to get extended. You start going downward. Why is it going downward? Because every contract, even JJ's, who's above him, no one's saying he's JJ. No one's saying Brandon Aiyuk's JJ. No one's saying Brandon Aiyuk is AJ Brown. But those deals will strongly affect the guaranteed money because everybody gets pulled up every single time a contract gets signed. The Ridley deal is what Aiyuk could have gotten. He would have signed maybe slightly above the Ridley deal, which was like 54 million-ish guaranteed, 50 to 55 million guaranteed. He could have got, the Niners could have got him for 58 mil guaranteed. Back when Ridley signed, 58 million guaranteed. Now you've got Devontae Smith, you've got this AJ Brown contract, and now you're looking at 84, 85 million guaranteed for those guys. And no one's saying that AJ Brown and Aiyuk are the same. I know what everyone's going to say. They're not the same. Oh, I'm going to type in the chat. I'm a keyboard warrior. They're not the same players, Smitty. We know that. But the moment JJ signs a $100 million guaranteed deal, guess what happens to AJ Brown's? It's no longer the high. It's now not the low, but it's certainly not the high anymore, and now Aiyuk gets pulled up even further. So as you get to now, we're at like a a 50% percentage chance that Brandon Aiyuk plays on his contract year and bets on himself, because we're at a point now where we're heading down, and every moment that waits, now this is still 50-50, it can still happen, but every moment we wait, every contract we see get signed, the Niners are going to be further apart from Aiyuk's expectation. And he's not just going to fold if they're not close. He'll fold if they're close because he'll want to get it done. He'll want to get it rid of. He'll want to just say, let's wash my hands. I just want the money. I just want money. Okay, I'm going to take a bath here. Whatever, incentives. Give me an incentive. Okay, let's do it. I'll do your deal. If you give me some crazy incentive, I'll go meet the incentive. I'll bet on myself that way. That Aiyuk will do. If they can get close enough, one of them just needs to fold. But the problem is, the Niners probably are not going to go closer to Aiyuk more than he's going to have to go closer to them, because every single contract, it gets further and further and further apart. So we're looking at a guy that's going to say, I'm not folding for something that's $20 million under what I believe I'm worth. I'm going to bank on myself on my fifth-year option. Problem is, he can be franchise tagged. Niners don't necessarily go like that in the offseason, but it's possible. So this contract has so much impact to all the other players, including Trevor Lawrence, including all the Dak Prescott. All of the deals are interconnected in some way, shape, or form, even across different positions. If Dak Prescott got his deal, JJ's guaranteed money, regardless of how it gets affected, is affected slightly. If JJ gets $100 million guaranteed, Dak's going to be getting his above Goff money, maybe just a slight smidge more than he would have if JJ didn't sign his deal. It's all interconnected because it's money being spent. Guaranteed money, bars raising. When the bar gets raised up for one position, it drags it up like a cobweb that's cobwebbed all over all the contracts across all the positions. And when you pull the top dog up, that cobweb pulls all the other contracts with it in proportion, in the exact ratio that you would expect. So wide receivers go up, running backs don't go anywhere. Running backs aren't in the web. Running backs are in the corner. They're at the little kid table. Those go up from 10 to maybe 10.2. Running backs get paid dog water, which is why we continue to say the Chargers dropped the ball, not bringing in a running back. The Cowboys dropped the ball, not bringing in a running back. And when people say things like, Smitty, they didn't have any money, I say cap. I say cap because guess what? It is absolutely doable to move around money to sign a $10 million a year running back. Give me a break. Give me a break. Cowboys shit the bed. So did the Chargers. And I'll stand by that. The Chargers bringing in the all ACL and Achilles running back crew. Vidal to the freaking moon. Vidal's going to be the starter by midseason minimum. Now, I will say that I love that draft selection, and that might be the saving grace here, and the Chargers might have a running game after all. But will they have one before that happens? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to look. Gus Edwards, the finisher, according to the brass in LAC. The finisher, the closer, Gus Edwards. Come on, give me a break. Gus Edwards was super inefficient last year. He just happened to play in Baltimore where you get multiple touchdown games, something Derrick Henry is maybe taking to Saturn. Derrick Henry could run for 950 yards on the year. He might have 3 multiple touchdown games. He might have 2-3 TD games and at least 3 or 4 2 TD games. Derrick Henry might have 14, 15 touchdowns and 900 yards and be one of those guys that just threw, mere touchdowns dominates running back production. But we'll have to see how that plays out. He's got to stay healthy. He's definitely an old dog. We got Deebo Samuel news here while we're on the Niner topic. Niners have the 3rd worst net rest differential since 2002. So, 22 years. This is the worst net rest differential, meaning they're on the move. They're traveling one of the most. They're absolutely constantly on the move. They don't get as much rest. They're playing shorter weeks. So that's going to be rough on the Niners. They do have a pretty good schedule, and I have heard they're favored in every single matchup this year. So it's a give and a take in terms of what they got hit with the schedule. But they're going to be tired, and this is one of those things where it's like Christian McCaffrey's in his 28-year-old season, the hold-your-breath year for an RB. Kyle Shanahan better rest his boys. He better not run Christian McCaffrey into the ground. And that gives you some pause to say at some point McCaffrey might not get all the touchdowns he could get because they might have to pull him out and rest him. If they don't, he'll probably get hurt. So it's a catch-22 in terms of McCaffrey. We got this Bryce Young news. His head coach saying he's doing fantastic over in Carolina in the new offense. I really am excited to see how this pans out. A quarterback I did like a whole lot more than I like right now, admittedly, because his offense felt like a black hole walking into the early part of the offseason. But boy, did they do a class act of a draft. A minus draft, bringing in Leggett, drafting Jonathan Brooks, surrounding this young quarterback with a bunch of talent, especially the Leggett drafting, because he's such a big body and a guy that can dominate the catching radius around him to the degree that helps a young quarterback that's working on his accuracy. So it's one of those, he's over there somewhere, toss it up to a guy like a DK Metcalf-esque type of wide receiver that can go get any errant pass that's in the vicinity, and that'll help Bryce Young release the football before maybe the route's even broken, maybe throw the football up in the vicinity before he's getting hit and smashed to pieces, and he's able to connect with Leggett when he wouldn't maybe have connected with other wide receivers. We'll see what happens with that, but I'm not saying put all your eggs at all in any sort of Carolina basket. They're going to be a work in progress for sure. They're not going to a playoff appearance or anything this year, but I do like what I'm hearing and seeing out of Carolina. It excites me a little bit, and if you're a Carolina fan, you got to be a little bit more amped up than you were in January and February. Rashee Rice, this news right here. Chiefs are kicking off their organized team activities today. Rashee Rice will be attending. He did attend. This is an old clip, but this is interesting that the Chiefs are continuing to ignore the situation from a team perspective. The NFL is ignoring this situation from an NFL perspective, and they're just sitting on this one, which is kind of embarrassing if you ask me. The NFL not putting this man on paid leave after doing what he did to a reporter, calling a reporter back for a photo shoot. He got in an argument with somebody, allegedly called him back via text and say, come back, because they got in an altercation, and when he came back, he struck him. And it seems to keep getting worse for this kid who makes horrible decisions, and the Chiefs just don't care. It's kind of a sad situation, to be honest with you. I think at some point he does get suspended for a whole calendar year, because I believe the counts that will be stacked up against him in this reckless abandoning the scene, road rage incident on the Texas freeway, where he left a 6-car pileup and ran away like a coward off the freeway, him and his buddies. I believe that situation, all the counts that I'm hearing are going to be added up at the end of the day, going to be probably in double digits. He's going to have to plead guilty to several of the serious ones to allow the other ones to go away. He will probably, for everything that I'm guessing and everything that I'm hearing, and this is just speculation and guesswork on my part, and in conjunction with a few other people and conversations I've had. We got 2 attorneys that come on the show all the time to discuss this kind of thing. And my assessment as of right now, which I think is a pretty good educated guess, is that he will be pleading guilty to several pretty significant charges and counts so that he can make a bunch of them go away. And his attorney at some point is going to sit down with him and say, look, Rashee Rice, this is not what we thought it was when we first started. Things have escalated. Things have gotten worse. And this is about you staying out of prison, not staying on the field. Let's worry about on the field later. Let's repair that with your team later. You need to do what's best for you. You can't play football when you're in prison. So why don't you plead guilty to this, and this, which will absolutely trigger most likely a year-long suspension by the NFL and the personal conduct policy. But if you plead guilty to these 2 serious counts, 3 serious counts, whatever they end up narrowing it down, you won't do prison time. You'll have probation. You'll have tons of community service. You'll have tons of fines. You'll have tons of money that you got to throw at the medical bills and everything to make this right. And then you're going to have a lot of the civil stuff that's completely not connected at all, that's going to be going on and messing with his head altogether. Just stay out of prison. And so he's going to end up pleading guilty to several counts, unlike the Alvin Kamara pleading down to some like disturbing the peace. I think it was something along those lines. I always forget what it was. It was something very, very minor. It was like conspiracy to make noise. It was absolutely crazy what Alvin Kamara got away with. This is not that case. Texas law's coming down hard. Texas don't play. And Texas is trying to make an example out of this kid because they've been struggling with this issue, drag racing and death related to drag racing constantly. And now they've got the spotlight handed to them that they can shine on Rashee Rice and make an example out of him. And everything I'm hearing is they will absolutely do that. So Rashee Rice, if he somehow is able to play this year because they delay everything, I believe he will be suspended for the entire 2025 season. But this might get escalated quicker than you think. And then we talked about this yesterday. Tua Tagovailoa also reportedly looking for over $50 million per year and turned down at least one contract offer so far. Did show up today for the activities, so he's not necessarily holding out like JJ looks like he might, etc. But it is something to keep in mind because that will trigger and affect a Dak deal. That will trigger and affect a JJ deal. And so on. I mean, there's so many wide receivers and quarterbacks and other players looking to get extensions. There's such a connected, situation here in terms of those guaranteed monies going up across the board. When one of these guys, one of these big players, one of the stars gets that massive guaranteed money, it changes the game for everybody with a certain degree of connectivity. We have the news out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. We do have, we have the tripod, we have the four horsemen, and now we have the double-decker. I'm going to show you the double-decker right now. The double-decker, also known as the double-decker in academic circles, is when you go wide receiver with a near bookend or very late first-round draft slot and high second-round draft slot. This is the wide receiver. This is the double-decker. This is the double I give you.
The double-decker, pronounced double-decker in academic circles, is drafting wide receiver back-to-back in rounds 1 and 2, using these plethoras of players. Using these
plethora of players. Look at this plethora of players in academic circles as we speak about it. This guy right here, JJ, may fall. He may not fall. He may fall to a 8, 9, 10. So he needs to be included, but he will be a rarity near that bookend territory. But you could still deploy this potentially with a London, or if you're playing at a grandma league, a MHJ. So this can be performed from the 7 or 8 spot for sure, but this is like a 8, 9, 10 or a 10, 11, 12 spot type of move, the double-decker, the double-decker. So you might go Puka or JJ or St. Brown or A.J. Brown. Now, Garrett Wilson goes in round 1 and Marvin Harrison Jr. goes in round 1 in a lot of best ball. But in non-best ball, we're still finding that these 3 guys are the most likely of the big crew to fall into round 2. So it just depends on where you're drafting if this is possible with certain combinations of these players. But the double-decker, the double-decker is a fantastic way to start your draft if you want and prefer to go wide receiver. We also have the 4 horsemen. The 4 horsemen is when you draft RB, robust RB, and you attack even quarterback in round 3 or 4. Either one will work. If you can get Mahomes in 4, the wild card pick, go ahead and do that and swap. But I'm sorry, this is not running back. This is wide receiver running back, or running back wide receiver. So you're going wide receiver with a Jamar Chase or a Hill or a JJ or a Tyreek or a Lamb. And then you're going RB with one of these 3 bad boys, and then you're going quarterback and tight end. And I'm sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. The tripod is where you go double RB, robust.
The tripod, likened to pyramids in ancient Egypt, consists of drafting one of Allen, Mahomes, or Hurts to go with one of these round 1 running backs and one of these running backs in round 2. The tripod.
This is the tripod, RB. So round 1, take one of these bad boys. Round 2, take one of these bad boys that you also saw with the 4 horsemen, and you still take a quarterback. 4 horsemen and the tripod are very similar. It's just a matter of going running back, wide receiver, or wide receiver, running back, or going with the double RBs. That is it. And then double-decker one more time.
The double-decker, pronounced double-decker in academic circles, is drafting wide receiver back-to-back in rounds 1 and 2, using these plethoras of players. The double-decker.
The double-decker. Robert, good question. How many years until Neighbors is producing A.J. Brown numbers? You won't see it this year. He's got a tough schedule, and then on top of that, bro, got no quarterback. So I'm not looking forward to that. This is Ron Navy. Ron Navy says, hurry up, Smitty. Hurry up on what, Ron? What are we hurrying on? Appreciate the $20 holler. What are we hurrying on? What did I do? Ron Navy, $100 holler, ladies and gentlemen.
$50. Give me $50 holler. Get by the brother, Smitty. Give me $50. Oh,
He had to make my office and studio a mess. Ron Navy, everyone. Ron Navy had to make my studio a mess. I had to open up the money case. Damn it, Ron. You know, Ron gets more of a kick out of that than I do, even getting and receiving the money. You know that? You guys know that about Ron, right? He gets more enjoyment out of that than anything else. I don't know what I'm hurrying on, but Ron wants me to hurry. I'll go check the chat. Maybe he clarifies. Young with a $2 holler. But what about the one-leg gallop throw? Oh, yeah. I don't know what that was. They may have asked him to do that, but this whole thing that J.J. McCarthy, like everyone says, did you see he can do these trick throws where he does like a 360 throw? And it's like, I can do it between the legs, behind the back, through the other leg layup. Does that mean I can play in the NBA? Like, I don't understand why everyone's so enamored with his jumping throws that you don't do in the NFL. You don't make a jump throw. You know, everyone's like, did you see that jump throw? You don't jump throw in the NFL. If you jump throw in the NFL, you're doing it wrong. So I know you're making fun of that, but yeah, I don't understand why everybody's enamored with this jump throws. He'll jump up in the air and throw it. It's like, oh my God, J.J. McCarthy, he's a trickster. I traded Purdy, Spears, and DJ Moore for JD5 and Dell in a dynasty. Woo! Woo!
You've just been Smitty.
Hernandez, that's a stellar trade right there. Purdy, Spears, DJ Moore for JD5 and Dell in a dynasty. I venture to say that's going to be vetoed. I venture to say you haven't heard the end of this from the veto police, my guy. I have a feeling that you're going to hear. Where's my veto button? Where's my veto police? Where is that? I have a veto police button here, and I can't seem to find it. I must have misplaced it. Did I move it? Veto police, where are you? Yeah, I can't find it. You're lucky. The veto police, I'm going to get on. Hold on a second. Yeah, hello? Yeah, Smitty here. His name is Hernandez. Uh-huh. Yep. Theft. Yes. Big time. Grand. Yeah. He stole Purdy, Spears, and he traded Purdy, Spears, and DJ Moore, and he stole away JD5 and Dell. I know! Dell! I know! I've seen the video. He's back. I get it. Okay, 10 minutes? Okay, thank you. Veto police are after you, Hernandez. You better get out of here. You got about 7-8 minute lead time. They're pretty slow around these parts. I don't know what. Okay, let me see if I can find out what the whole thing was in terms of Ron saying hurry. Perps, where have you been? Says Ron Navy. Travis. Ron gifted 20 memberships. I don't know why my stupid thing isn't. Let me see. Where is that? I'm going to have to find the alert system. It's not working. Thank you, Ron, for gifting the 20 gifted memberships. Guys, thank Ron if you got a gifted membership from Ron. God, my whole system is just crashing. Perps gifting 20 memberships. Perps gifting 20. Ron gifting 20. This is like a race between the two. Remember who was it that were those two guys that battled back and forth? It was Wheel Snipe Sully and somebody else. But Perps and Ron both gifting 20 gifted memberships. Absolute glory.
$50. Give me $50 holler. Get by the brother, Smitty. Give me $50. Oh, yeah.
All right, you guys clean me out. Number one, Tire Studio is just disgusting. What a mess this studio is. Look, let me take a photo of it and just show you how dirty my floor is now. Here's a photo of my floor. Look at my floor. It looks like a tornado came in here. Appreciate you both. Thank you, Hernandez, for dropping the super. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Perps, for dropping that. Appreciate everybody in the building. Let's hit the phone lines and discuss all this conversation, all these topics at hand, as well as anything else you might have. And I think that's all the news that I have at this current moment in time. A lot of news today, but we are able to cover it in a quick 30 minutes. Most shows are barely 30 minutes. Our news section is 30.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Brought to you by the Attic.shop. The Attic.shop. And also understand this, that we have the merch for the Tank Dell merch up.
Got him.
Just head on over to well, here's the link. The YouTube shop doesn't necessarily have it yet because it takes a day for it to load it, but here's the link I'm going to drop in the live chat for the Tank Dell hoodie if you want to get the hoodie, and then you can find the t-shirt through that link as well. But anybody wants to get that is there for the taking. All right, let's go over to the phone lines. Phone lines are open. Dial in. Ron Navy, you're live. Appreciate the super chat and gifted memberships, my guy. What's going on with you? Long time no talk, actually.
Perps dropped another 50 memberships.
Jeez. I'm trying to fix this plugin. It's just ridiculous. Perps dropping a 50. Hold on. Gifted 20. So we got Ron and Perps with the gifted 20. Perps dropping a 50 watt on screen. I'm out of my case is empty. Hold on.
$50. Give me $50, holla. Like that bottle, brother Smitty. Give me $50. Oh, yeah.
I think you guys like hearing Denny more than anything. What's up, Ron?
All right, well, let's get the party started. 12-man Dynasty Superflex League with 2 flex spots and a super flex spot. And you know me, I'm a traditional. I like tradition. So explain to me what the benefits are of third round reversals.
Okay.
Draft reversals. Do you like them or don't you like them?
I don't love them. You know why I don't love them? Because everybody's trying to fix their mistake of changing what everybody was doing and getting used to anyway. So you had PPR come out because people were like, running backs are, too valuable. If you draft Marshall Faulk or LaDainian Tomlinson, you just won. So everybody came up with PPR. And I was doing this professionally during all of this. I didn't come in. A lot of people have just grown up under PPR. So it was kind of tough for me to change the PPR because I got into the industry professionally during no PPR. Because that's how long I've been doing this. So once they added PPR, I was really, really not loving it. It was really hard for me to change my ways, but everybody kept wanting it. So I changed, toward it. Now it's all I want to do. Half PPR is a nice medium, and that's why Underdog does it. That's why the best balls do it, because you can only meet people in the middle, and then nobody really cares. And it's actually not that big of a difference. My rankings don't change at all, really. Then everyone added Superflex to account for, the fact that now quarterbacks are not valuable because you went PPR, and you did this, and you did that, and you continuously add and add and add. And third round reversal, I don't like at all, personally. It's an attempt, especially in Superflex. When you added Superflex to make things more complicated on that front, you ended up making people dominate and win if they had that early top 5 or 6 pick because they got one of those monster quarterbacks. So when you get that Hurts or Allen, and then somebody else has to get, granted every year is different with QBs, but when somebody has to get a much lesser quarterback, this year's pretty full of Stroud could be as good as really anybody. Lamar could be as good as anybody. Mahomes, Hurts. So you actually have a little bit deeper. This might create somebody to do something different next year. But the reason you did third round reversal is so that this person that got hit hard with the wide receiver or the non-elite quarterbacks falling to their 12 and 13 back-to-back picks was able to get this pick right here. So this third round reversal, or shall I say this? The person that had the 1 pick has the last pick, and instead of having this pick right now, they get the last pick in the 3rd round. So this is traditionally how the normal draft would go. You get 1, then you get 24, 25 back to back, right? So 3rd round reversal takes away this 25 overall, so you have the 24 overall, and instead of having back to back, just in this round, you have the last pick, and the person that has the 12 and 13 picks, they have the 1. And the person that has the 11 and 14 picks, they have the 2. So that's what 3rd round reversal is. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. The reason I think it's stupid is because I'm not used to it, to be frank. It's not like I can't win with it or something. But it does make choosing your draft slot a lot harder because it's a lock that you want the 1.1 without 3rd round reversal. But it's just, I don't know. I hate it. You know why I hate it? Because there's not a lot of content created around it. So anybody trying to prepare for it's got to try and figure out how to navigate it kind of in the blind. So it's just anytime there's something like that where there's not a lot of content around it, why would you do it? Why would you want to do something that you couldn't consume? Like when people say, hey, we're going to give for carries, you're going to get a 1 point per carry. And for receptions, you're going to get minus a point. I'm just joking with you, but I'm just trying to give you an example of how these freaking weird leagues pop up with scoring that I've never heard of. And then you're supposed to go consume content. And then you call in my show and say, hey, who do you like in this out of these 3 wide receivers? And then I tell you who I like, and then you go, but the scoring format's weird. If you're over 25 years old, you get a point for every game you play. And then I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. How am I supposed to rank anybody in your weird scoring? I've never played it. I don't know it. I played 3rd round reversal, but in my 20 plus years of doing this, I played in maybe one of these during a season, probably maybe 3 or 4 different times. I rarely ever play in it. I think it's ridiculous, personally.
Me personally, I agree. I 100% agree with you. Plus, you're given the advantage. You're taking it from, because it's all luck of the draw, right? When you get your draft spot, it's all luck of the draw. If you get the beginning of the draft, you end up getting screwed. The end gets taken care of. But what about the middle? The middle stays the same. So you're helping out the end. Either way, you're taking away from the beginning. You're helping out the end. The middle stays the same. So the middle, if you're stuck in the middle, you get no advantage either or way. You get no help.
Yeah.
And I don't get it.
I don't like it at all. I hate it. And most people do. Most people don't like it. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know who likes it. Somebody likes it. Call in. I'd love to hear the argument. I know it's about making it fair. I get that. That argument's not going to really satisfy me because I don't want to make it fair. If I want to make it fair, why don't we all just auto draft? Why don't we just all auto draft? Whoever's auto draft team wins is great. Congratulations. Good job.
Kenny, call in. Kenny needs to call in.
Why? Oh, Kenny Powers likes it?
This is his league I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kenny. I'm sorry, Kenny. Kenny, I'm sorry. This created a problem for Kenny.
Oh, but he put it up. Be fair, he put it up for a league vote, and the league voted.
Okay.
You know.
Well, that's Kenny. You know, Kenny's one of the most fair commissioners. There's no more fair commissioner than Kenny. Kenny cares.
To me, I wouldn't have joined the league if I would have known up front that he was going to even propose it on a poll. I'm a traditionalist. You know me. I don't like all this extra crap. I just give me a draft. Let me draft. There's going to be trades in the draft anyways, and people are going to be swapping around positions and using their future picks and their picks to make deals and all that. I don't see why you have to have a 3rd round reversal or a reversal of a reversal.
I got all of Kenny's messages. Ron hates my league settings. The top 3 always win without it. Ron's heated, and I'm excited for this convo that's coming. I didn't see any of this, Kenny. I'm so sorry. Not that I would look. I'm always very honest with everybody. I will not tell look at Ron. I'll tell Ron straight to his face after he drops a $100 super chat something that he absolutely does not want to hear. The one beautiful part about my show is no matter what, no matter how much I love the person, no matter how much they drop super chats, I will tell you how I feel every single time. And so Kenny knows this, and I have nothing but respect for Kenny, and Kenny is the best commissioner I've ever seen operate. If I ever need somebody in charge of my commissioner boot camp, it will be Kenny. But
Okay,
Kenny does put things up to a vote, which is good. He's a man of the people. But I do agree. I don't agree with the vote result. I would have been like, I hate this, but I still would have done it. Like, I mean, look, everyone's playing within the same confines of the rules. It's just not my preference. But like, does it affect my enjoyment of the league? Probably not. Would I back out of it? Probably not. Would I set it up that way myself? No. But everybody knows what time it is walking in, so just make it work. Smash.
People that voted for it have probably already played under those rules.
Right.
So automatically, they already have an advantage going into it of playing with that type of format where I don't. So here I am.
Hey, Ron, can I ask a fair a fair question though? Just a fair question. I'm not trying to poke the bear. I'm not trying to poke the bear or anything. But would you say out of majority of the people that I know, you're probably one of the more prone people to have some sort of like disagreement with the league?
Oh yeah, you know me. You know I'm a traditionalist. You know that.
Like, have you ever been in a league where you haven't been just completely ruffled?
Yeah, I have.
A 1-year league? Have you been in a long-term league that's span over 2 years at least, where you haven't been your feathers weren't just ruffled to the end of the earth?
I mean, my feathers get ruffled. You know, my feathers get ruffled when I think people make stupid trades, or they try to undermine you, think you're stupid, or they don't take the best trade, or they don't make a counter offer to you. You make a valid trade offer, and they don't even counter it. They don't even give you the respect to counter it. That kind of.
I do feel like I would put my money on you. You'd be like the favorite. You'd be like, I don't know. You'd be like minus 1,800 in Vegas. The odds of being the first one to erupt in a league. Oh, bro. All right, Mark Cleveland in the house. Mark, can you call in by chance? Nice show, Smitty. Mark Cleveland in the building. Mark, I'd love for you to call in, pal. Dial into the show. Phone number is going to be on screen in a second. I'm sure you've got it, Mark. It's in your speed dial. But call in, Mark. We haven't heard from you in a while.
I agree with you, Smitty. Kenny's a great guy. I love Kenny. He's a great commissioner.
There are
I just don't like this.
There are two people that I come to my mind. Like, I'm just saying this out loud. I don't know. Is Silver in here?
Silver's there, yeah.
There's two people that come to mind for me when it comes to like remembering back. I don't know why this came to me, but remembering back when I started my show. I know Kenny hasn't. I don't know if Kenny's been there as long as Silver, but like those two guys, Kenny and Silver, they remind me, nostalgic wise, of the very beginnings of the show. Like just loyal guys here from the beginning when we had 9, 10, 12 people in here. So shout out to Kenny and to Silver. You guys are like the double. I don't know. Well, we got to come up with a name for them. The Dos Amigos or something. They're two OGs from the beginning. So cheers to Kenny and to Silver at the same time. I appreciate you both. I'm sorry.
I want to call in and get your opinion on it, and also to get you to calm my ass down maybe about it. Calm
down, Ron. Ron, you know the rules. Everybody knows the rule. You haven't drafted yet, right? You know the rules.
No.
You could still get out if you want, right? You can still get out if you want, right? I'm sure Kenny would let you out. Okay?
No, Kenny would 100% let me out. he's hoping I don't because he wants me to play it.
That's
but
that kind of guy he is.
I just get frustrated with the whole. It's like you do with the tight end premium. You hate the tight end premium.
I do.
And it's like I hate when like running backs aren't given the same PPR as receivers.
Do you like the people in the league?
Of course, they're your people. A lot of them are your people.
So would you not? This is like, think of it like going to dinner. You're not going to go to dinner because someone wants to go to a restaurant maybe you didn't want to go to. These are your people. You're going to be able to hang out with them.
Brianna's in there. Jay Frank is in there. Jab is in there. Kenny's in there. There's mostly people that watch your show are
okay.
In there.
So if it's just think of it that way. Silver says Kenny's an OG. Silver, what's up, my guy? Kenny says $5 hauler. Kenny cares. Ron, love you, pal. It was voted in, and I don't take part in the votes as a commissioner. Like and subscribe. Now, that's how a commissioner should act. They should almost not even have a vote. You sacrifice your own desires for the league. I hate when commissioners change things in the middle. Like, hey, let's move the draft time up. Let's do this and that. Everyone's like, look, I got into this thing with the rules, and now you're changing them. This is Kenny. Welcome to a commissioner that doesn't change things in the middle of the draft.
In fairness, I wish that he would have, like, when he brought the league up, said that he was going to put it up for a vote. Then I could have said something at the time. But I didn't even know because at the beginning that he was going to put it up for a vote. And if I would have known that, I probably would just say that.
You wanted me to talk you down or give you some clarity. So here's my clarity, and then I'm going to move on to Mark Cleveland real quick because I don't want him to hang up. He hasn't called in a while. Here's the clarity. Here's the clarity. Well, hold on. Here's the clarity, and we'll put it to bed. If you can get out of it and you choose not to get out of it, then you are almost, and in my opinion, obligated to yourself to let it completely go because you have a choice to join it now with the rules, the confines of the rules. So therefore, at this point, there's no argument in your own mind because you are now entering into the league knowing it. So why even waste a single breath on it? That's how I look at it. Mark Cleveland, you're live. Appreciate you, my guy. I know you come around a little more during the months of June, July, August, September, obviously October, November, but you do kind of vanish from like January to March. So we're always glad when you come back. One of these days we're going to get you year round. But Mark, what can I do for you? You're live.
Not much. I'm just sitting here enjoying the show. Been in this slow draft. I ain't never been in one this early, but it's been different.
What round are you in your slow draft? People get so pissed off in slow drafts.
It's knocking along now. It's about the 14th round, I think.
Okay.
We got 21 rounds, so we got a ways to go.
You can truly test the salt of the man as a commissioner during a slow draft, because if he starts changing all the rules in the middle of the slow draft, you've got a rogue commissioner on your hands. Like, hey, we're going to move the timer up even though we never said it. And, person A and person B work like a dog, and they can't like Perps, for example. Perps is a dog. Like, he works like a dog. And he doesn't have the ability to have a 6-hour timer go down to like 30 seconds or something. Or in the case of me, like I'm constantly moving and I don't have time to, when underdog, and it's not their fault because they got to do this, when they got to shorten that draft timer, that's like a kick to the nutsack for me, because I'm used to letting this thing like go down to the wire when I do the slow drafts, because I just don't have a lot of time. But that's how the commissioners need to be very, very careful how they start moving things around.
Let me tell you what happened yesterday, or into the day.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. So this guy picked Harris Butker yesterday sometime. And everything been going real slow. And so we spent the night, we went to sleep, woke up this morning, and about 10 o'clock this morning, the commissioner moved Harrison Butker and put in the Cowboys kicker. There's more people than picked, too.
Wait, why did he do that?
Because the guy, he said he didn't mean to pick him. I think he slept on it and wanted to change it.
Huh.
And
Okay.
then so instead of Butker, he got
Maybe his wife made him change
what's
it.
his name? Brandon Aubrey.
You drafted Bucker. What are you doing? You're on the couch unless you call a commissioner and have him change it. I don't want to get into that controversial
But you know,
topic.
he didn't tell nobody he was going to do it, and he just done it. And they've been about 5 other picks since then, and I'm like, so I kind of got aggravated about it. I wouldn't even pick for a while. I said, we ain't got no rules or nothing. Y'all just do what y'all want to do.
I can't stand that. Why do commissioners? I can't stand it. We're gonna have a commissioner boot camp, and if your league commissioner has not been certified by me or Kenny or whoever I put in charge, then you might want to tell them you need to get certified by Smitty. We'll have a little training course and everything, but these commissioners going rogue drives me nuts. Kenny says, Ron, you're staying. We'll make the best of it, says Kenny. And then and then Calvin Krim says, Smitty, Dalvin Cook rumored to be showing interest. Is he washed, or are there a lot of landing spots that you would see him being fantasy relevant? He's cooked, bro. Dalvin Cook is cooked. The definition of cooked. If he landed, like, let's say, I don't know, and maybe in Dallas and Zeke got hurt, and then he's in the same spot that Zeke's in where there's nobody else. I don't believe in Dowdle. Dowdle's had like 300 yards rushing last year to his name. So, like, but at the same time, it's like he's Zeke. You know, are you drafting Zeke with any sort of confidence? No. What's that noise? Who's making all that noise? That ruckus. What's going on there? Who's doing that? Is that Mark? If that's Mark. It's okay.
I don't know if I was making any noise or not. I was trying to.
Is that Elvis? Elvis, what are you doing, Elvis?
Is that me?
I don't know.
I'm mute.
Okay, Axe, is that you? No one ever admits.
Yeah, that probably me.
Look, I appreciate the honesty at least. Most people run away from that, and everybody doesn't admit to it. Let's go to Axe real quick. What can I do for you, pal? Then I'm going to go over to Elvis, then back to Mark. Mark, don't go anywhere. Axe, go ahead.
I just wanted to, I wanted to share something with y'all while y'all was on a conversation about Kenny. I love him so much. I joined a league with him one time on Sleeper, and this was the rules. You couldn't draft your own players. So I'll try to every now and then pick my guy, and we had to restart the whole league. So what it was that it was auto draft. And the rules was after whatever the computer, whatever line you fell in and your players that you had, then you had to try to make ends meet. But if players didn't fall in your favor and other guys had it, then you was kind of at their mercy. So it really wasn't, it was one of those situations where if you had too many running backs, they'd give you a little bit, but it really wouldn't, it didn't play to your favor like that, but it was fun, though.
I love
and he was honest.
Yeah, I love him. I also love your accent, bro. I'm sure you're hearing this a lot lately, but you said you and Leggett have the same accent. I bet everybody's telling you that. Xavier Leggett. You got
from Louisiana.
Yep. Yeah, everybody's in love with this kid's accent, and it is so fun to hear him talk. We might have to rename him Axe Leggett. Leggett. We're gonna have you be our deep fake Leggett, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. What else you got, Axe? What else you got, pal?
That's it, man. I'm just enjoying the
All right,
show
don't go
and
anywhere.
have a go.
Don't go anywhere. Mute yourself and
All right.
think of a question. Let me go back over to Mark, make sure he's good. Then I'm going over to Elvis. Mark, are you okay? You got a question?
Yeah, I'm still here. I had one question.
Yeah.
I was looking at this Jermaine Burton, I think his name, for the Bengals. Y'all high on him or not?
Burton, yeah, I mean, he's okay. I mean, we still got Charles. What's his name? I already forget his name. Charles Jones. What? Charlie Jones. We still got Charlie Jones. We still got the other kid. It's kind of a crowded room in terms of everybody after. Leggett left. Axe, call back in real quick. I got one more question for you. Axe, call back in. Damn it. Call back in again. I think right now I'm just wait and see. I like him a lot. He's kind of a nice prospect, but I don't think we can write off Charlie Jones. I don't think we can assume who the wide receiver 3 is there yet. But we'll have to see. Yeah. It's a good player to keep an eye on for sure, Mark. Elvis, you're live. Mark, stay right there. And Axe, please call back in. Mark or Elvis, what can I do for you?
I'm just curious. You have there's certain players you really like. There's certain players you don't really like. I kind of lean the same way you do. Sometimes more, sometimes less. I'm just curious why you're so down on Keenan Allen and Stephon Diggs, but so high on like a Cooper Kupp, or even like a Tank Dell, even though Tank Dell is going to be like the number 3 on that team.
I don't know that I'm not saying I'm taking great offense to this question, but I guess I pride myself in being somebody that doesn't even understand the nature of your question. Like you're essentially saying, and again, don't take offense to me saying this, but you're essentially saying that I don't like players. Look, it's not that I don't like certain players. I truly, honestly evaluate each individual player on their own merit. So like me not liking a certain player, even if he's in an age group or something that we're talking about, or whatever, they're all independently looked at in my mind and evaluated. Like I'm not like typecasting anybody. I think anybody that was maybe very biased toward it would maybe could be accused of that, but I'm not. I mean, the mere fact that I like Cooper Kupp, so it's a great question. The mere fact that I like Cooper Kupp this year at his cost of entry and don't like Keenan Allen is a perfect example of why I don't have bias, or proof that I'm not a biased person in general. I know Ron might say I'm biased toward the Bengals or this or that, but I truly believe even my bias, my Cardinal looking bias right now for the Arizona Cardinals, it isn't. It's just, it is the fact that the stars have aligned for my team to actually have an absolute, glorious lineup and plethora of talent, the word of the day. That's what it is. It's not, oh, well, he's a Cardinal fan, he's biased. If I start shooting off at the mouth about how MHJ is going to be the number 1 wide receiver in the National Football League in one calendar year, that Trey Benson is a top 6 to 10 running back, it's going to be easy for people to point at me and go, he's a Cardinal fan, he's got bias. But I don't. It just so happens, finally, what I want to happen in Arizona is going to happen, in my opinion. But for Cooper Kupp has Puka, sure, but he also has a very potent offense that's going to be feeding the football to both those guys. And Cooper Kupp, especially in best ball, I like more than in redraft. And in best ball, especially weekly winners, he might play like a top 5 wide receiver for 3, 4, 5 weeks out of the year. And that's amazing for weekly winners best ball. Also for best ball, if he plays half a season and gets hurt, I'll have somebody that can come in and play for him and supplement for that missed time. Whereas in non-best ball, I don't draft Cooper Kupp as much because he can get injured. So there is some rhyme and reason to when I like Cooper Kupp and when I don't. The age is definitely a factor still for me. The age is still a big factor. The fact that he's turning 31 years old and he's playing the 2024 season at that age, it's a big problem. Keenan Allen is in a crowded wide receiver room where he's arguably the 3rd receiver. Or maybe he's 1, maybe he's 2, maybe he's 3, but he's also turning 2 years old? So he's playing 32 in a crowded wide receiver room with a quarterback I don't necessarily think is going to be as good as everybody thinks, or at least it's going to be, you can blame it on the offense, but there's a lot of rhyme and reason to it is what I'm saying. There's not just you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't take offense to your question. I'm just merely saying I don't believe I come to the table with this like thing you could cookie cut and put like, oh, he hates these types of guys. He hates these types of guys. Is age a big factor for me? Yeah, because the data says it is. There's going to always be outliers, and a true unbiased person would do what I'm doing this year, which is I'm drafting Derrick Henry. 2 years after I thought we'd start seeing decline, I'm now drafting him. But why am I drafting him? Because he's in round 3 or 4. Why am I drafting Cooper Kupp? I'll be running away from Cooper Kupp at high second round value. He's going around 4. So cost of entry is probably the answer to your question.
Yeah, and I want to make sure you know that I don't think you're biased at all. In fact, your objectivity is one of the most attractive things about your show.
Thanks, Bill.
It's actually
Elvis is in the building.
Pretty incredible. I think where I didn't ask it well enough, I guess. Or my question is, I think it was the rhymer reason. I wasn't like suggesting that
No,
you
no,
were
I know.
biased in any way.
No, I know. I was answering it in a way that I think a lot of people probably wonder that, so I was kind of attacking that general
okay.
question.
I get you.
But I think also, but it's
Yeah,
all
go
cost of entry. The answer to your question in general is cost of entry. Why do I like Cooper Kupp and not Keenan Allen? The cost of entry, the volume, the belief in the offense, the fact that Keenan Allen's in a crowded wide receiver room, and even though Cooper Kupp, you could say, is also in a crowded environment, there are only two of them, and we already know they can both survive in the current situation. We have a new offense and quarterback being both of them at the same time. Not just new offense with the same quarterback, not just new quarterback with the same offense, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, new team being injected in together. We don't know what to make of it. With Stafford and McVay, we do know. They have a new offensive coordinator. That is a dilemma or a potential problem, a roadblock. But they have this. We know what we're dealing with, So there's all those things go in motion, when you're starting to evaluate something like that.
No, yeah, and I think like the way I'm looking at it is, I think the variance in between the situations for me are a lot tighter than it is for you. So Keenan Allen, you're getting Cooper in the fourth. We're getting Keenan in the fifth, and you could even draft in the late fifth or early sixth his twin in Rome Odunze, who's just younger version of Keenan Allen.
I don't hate it. I just don't. I don't find myself doing it a lot, but I don't hate it. I wouldn't sit here and go, "You're going to lose your league over it." I'd probably be saying, "You know what? You're banking on Caleb and the Bears, but Bears haven't had a good quarterback since when, bro? Most people weren't even alive." So it's hard for me to say, "Oh, Caleb's the answer," because everyone else is saying it. I don't agree. When I see Caleb,
I was wondering.
What, Ron?
Greasy holds all the Bear quarterback records for Chicago. He was the last one that worth anything.
Yeah.
I think I was one of the few people at least that was on the same train with Michael Penix. I don't know if you remember me calling in about that, but I think he's going to be unbelievable. And I think the Vikings were absolute idiots for not trading up to go get him.
100%. 100%.
Michael Penix and JJ, it's over.
Yeah. What were they thinking? I mean, Perps is in the chat right now, and when Perps and Ron were kind of going at it head to head, it was Perps's pick was Penix Jr. I'd rather have Penix Jr. than Cousins. And I agreed with them, and I still agree with them, and I agree with you. Because what they had wasn't working, and they needed to also move on to build to try and, not only win the games they wanted to win, and I'm not saying Cousins couldn't have got it done, but they also wanted to be younger and continue to build around JJ and line everything up. So and the Achilles injury is a concern. That's partly why the Falcons, brought in Penix Jr. Even with Aaron Rodgers, it's a big concern. I'm holding my breath every time I see Aaron Rodgers practice videos. I don't know. I'm petrified. I'm a petrified Peter. But
why wouldn't they get Justin Fields?
I don't know. Every team I say that every show. I mean, every team that didn't get Justin Fields, but the Steelers failed, and that includes the Chicago Bears, because they could have had him for a ham sandwich, and they could have retained him, but they didn't want to put that pressure under. You know who doesn't care about that pressure? The Falcons. You know who's running both quarterbacks out side by side and not worried about someone's feelings? And Ron will probably be the first one to tell you this. This will drive Kirk Cousins. He's not scared of that. Penix Jr. right next to him. So they don't care about perception. They don't care about that. Bears were petrified of whether Caleb's going to work out to begin with, probably. And they're scared that they can't develop quarterbacks. That's very well known. And so they couldn't have Fields behind him. But you know what you didn't do? Give him away for a ham sandwich, because everyone knew you were telegraphing what you were going to do. But they did. They gave him away for a 6th-round conditional to a 4th round. Every team, including the Bears, only the Steelers succeeded in this. Every team failed because he's the best backup quarterback in the National Football League. Him and Penix Jr. are the best backups. And the Steelers and the Falcons are the most secure. They sleep like babies every night because they have the position locked down. And everybody that tells me, I love it. I don't even answer the people anymore because I write this big old paragraph in my comment section on a video. It wasn't smart to draft Penix Jr. Next, I don't even care anymore. I'm not going to debate this with anybody. It was genius. You can call into my show and debate it. It was a genius move. It was a genius move. Allocation of resources, whatever, is a genius move. It sucks they had to pay $100 million to do it. I'm not going to lie and say that maybe they could have got Cousins cheaper. I don't know I can't imagine that they had to pay him that exact amount of money, but maybe there were 2 offers that he was looking at that's why I imagine that was what happened. But look, at the end of the day, it's a 2-year deal. And at the end of the day, it's kind of similar to an auction draft that you or I or anybody might go into where you get to reset the third year. Every year you get a new $200 to spend, right? So who cares if you blow the $200 1 year? This happens to be 2 years, but in their mind, they're blowing up their cap, right? But it's for 2 years. And they're okay with that. They're okay with saying this is the one position that takes us out of the playoffs or has us advance multiple games in the playoffs. And they think they can do what the Texans just did. They think they can do what the Lions just did. And I don't doubt it at all. The Falcons are this year's Detroit Lions and Houston Texans. And they're going to be locked in place, unpenetrable, because they have both quarterbacks locked down. Regardless of how it looks to you or the bookkeeper or the person that can't stand the math, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's genius. All right, hold on 1 second.
Well,
let me go over to Mark Cleveland. Mark Cleveland, what else you got, pal? Mark, you there?
You're on mute, brah.
I think you're on mute, Mark.
I'm here now.
What's up?
I'm good. I had you on mute because I didn't want y'all to hear me knocking around.
All right, what can I do for you, Mark? What else are you thinking? What other trade or draft questions you might have? You might be on the clock. Like maybe you need to talk about a player you're going to draft.
Well, I asked you about that Jermaine Burton or whatever. There's some more down there, but I'm not sure. But what do you think about the Cowboys? Are they going to try to trade and get another running back? Like one of the Bears running backs, maybe Herbert or somebody?
Herbert's probably one of the more likely to be traded running backs later.
I was wondering if he might be a good pickup late in this draft.
Yeah.
He might go somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. Herbert could get traded. Trying to think of other players. We had a whole list the other day of players that could get traded, but you never know. You never know. I still think Debo could eventually get traded during the season or before. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else you got? Anything else?
No, I think that's about it. I just sit here and enjoy the show.
All right. Hang tight. Mute yourself, and then I'll come back to you if you have another question. Bob from... Oh, no. Bob. Did Bob hang up? Oh, Bob from Cali.
No, Bob.
What's up, Bob?
Hey, do you have like a 4-horseman or tripod strategy for rounds 4 through 8?
4 through 8?
Planning on making a video like that, and not including Patrick Mahomes, not including him.
Bandit says all Smitty does is hype up the players that are already being hyped up by everyone. Okay, Bandit. Sure, Bandit. Okay. Some people, I don't get it. I don't get it. One moment I'm being called crazy. The next minute I'm being called too obvious. You get punched from both sides. It's kind of hilarious when that happens at the same time, especially during like the Achan stuff. Is Achan, you're so dumb for liking this kid, and then it's so obvious. At the same time, I'm seeing 2 messages back to back. From Bandit, from guys like Bandit. Bandit, why you here? Like, why even watch? There's no roll call here. There's no attendance. Like, if you hate this channel so much, why are you in here? Just sitting in here. Like, couldn't you go do something else? I don't understand why you would be here if this is a place you don't like to be. Let's see here. Here's another one of his comments. Hold on 1 second and I'll come back to you, pal. It's, yeah, because it's all surface level shiat that every single show says the same shit. Okay, then why are you here? You don't need to be here, bro. Bob, say your question one more time.
Do you have like a four
Thank you,
horseman
bros,
or
bro.
tripod strategy for rounds 4 through 8?
Bro's pro to the moon. 4 through 8. So, I mean, look, the 4 horsemen is a strategy for using that wide receiver in that like 4 or that 1 through 6 territory. So wide receiver with a pick 1 through 6. The tripod,
likened to pyramids in ancient Egypt, consists of drafting one of Allen, Mahomes, or Hurts to go with one of these round 1 running backs and one of these running backs in round 2. The tripod.
So tripod's running back. So you're wanting to do a running back wide receiver from the 4 slot, you're saying. So running back wide receiver, the best way to go about that is Kyron Achane Barkley in round 2. And you should get one of those guys with your mid to even late second round pick. And then you just grab your receiver of choice at that 4 spot. So yeah, you can. The 4 horsemen's almost designed for that.
No, you're misinterpreting my question. I don't care about rounds 1 through 4. I'm talking about, do you have the same strategy for rounds 4 through 8? So basically, like I don't
rounds
even really
4 through 8. I'm sorry.
Strategy. I just care about the guys that you have there.
Rounds
those are
4
solid
through
guys.
8.
You
I
pick
got
them.
you.
They're gonna win. Rounds 4 through 8.
No. So I get what you're saying now. I'm sorry. 4 through 8. So I mean you can't plan that far in advance, bro. That's why best player available is what I always tout. Because by the time you get to round 4, you need to be picking the best player available. But I do have on my thefantasyfootballshow.com the best picks in every round rankings. And so what it does is it basically just isolates the best picks in every single round that I feel. And so let me just screenshot and bring on round 4. So example, round 4 would look like this. This is my best picks in every round's rankings for round number 4. And how the rankings look is round 1 will have a list of like 4 guys. Round 2 will have a list of like 2 to 5 or 6 guys. Round 3, and basically if you were to print that out and take it to your draft or just memorize it, whatever, you'd be able to sit here and go, okay, round 4, these are Smitty's, heavy freaking hitters. And so let me drag that screenshot of round 4. I'll just give you a taste of round 4. Let's see, where is that? Here it is. Where is it? Damn it, I got to take another screenshot of it. Hold on. So this is round 4. Here it is. So this is what the rankings look like. So Jacobs, Hurts, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Henry, Laporta, Devontae Smith, Tank Dell, Travis Kelce. Those are my heavy hitters, my favorite players in round 4. I've got it for every single round, rounds 1 through 12. I might go deeper than that, down to round 15. We'll see. But some of the rounds have like 2 guys in it. Some of them have like 7. Some of them have 4. But those are my heavy hitters in round 4. And there really is no strategy. I would take 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds deep, because at that point, if you're picking best player available, then you get to that stage, you should be drafting your position of need in conjunction with who's the best pick for you. But those are my favorite for round 4 guys. But those are at thefantasyfootballshow.com if anybody wants to get a taste. 10% off using code DRAFT. Does that answer your question better?
Kind of. I don't know. I don't really understand the whole tripod method, just because. I get the whole Egypt thing, but they were building like pyramids with 4 sides. So
you don't know that. You don't know when the pyramid. You don't know when the pyramids were built. It's all tied to aliens and time and the.
There's a general time frame, but going off topic. I don't know. I just feel like that strategy isn't really like an RB wide receiver. I think it's just those are the best guys. Like, if you want to win, grab those guys. If you don't want to win,
it very much is a strategy. So if you talk about the tripod essentially is this triangle, right? And you got the RB at the bottom. You got the RB at the bottom. This is the base. This is your first and second rounder. This is your round 1 pick running back. Your round 2 picks of running back. And then you're grabbing this QB at the top. Okay, so that's your tripod. That's your triangle. That's your pyramid, your ancient Egypt. And so this round 1 and round 2 smashes. Now, if you change this to a wide receiver, so running back in round 1, wide receiver round 2, or running back or wide receiver in round 1 and running back in round 2, then that becomes our 4 horsemen. So now it opens up, and all of a sudden we have this 3rd round pick and this 4th round pick, and so we're talking about a lot more easy to predict. Why does the wide receiver, running back, and running back wide receiver strategy, so you're going one of each, right? Balance. Why does that lead to 4 players that are easy to kind of navigate more so than the running back, whatever? Because you have balance. You're coming out of rounds 1 and 2 with balance. You got a running back, wide receiver, or wide receiver, running back. So you have so much more flexibility. It's a lot easier to tell you, go Mahomes and Kelsey, go Mahomes and McBride, go Hurts and McBride. It's a little easier for me to throw 4 guys at you versus we're doing the tripod. You're kind of forcing yourself to maybe go a little bit wide receiver heavy the rest of the way. But I mean, look, bro, it's a way of defining the approaches essentially too. And so the double decker is going wide receiver. So I've got a descriptor for all 3 of those approaches: running back, balanced approach, which is 4 horsemen, and then wide receiver is the double decker. I don't know what's so confusing about it.
And when you put it that way, it makes more sense. I think like the guys that you put in those, regardless of first round, second, I think those are truly the best guys.
You sound like Bandit.
In the draft.
You sound like Bandit.
I'm definitely.
This might make you feel a little bit better. This will kind of explain it, like with the algorithmic approach and data. But the continuum of the gigawatt component structure of Jahmyr Gibbs' workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megabolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6 to 10. That make more sense? Okay. Who was that, by the way? Bob? Was that Bob? Or is that Elvis?
Yeah.
It's Bob. All right. All right. Hey, Sebastian, you're live. Bob, hang tight. I'll come back to you, Bob. Think of another question. Just mute yourself real quickly. I'll go back to Elvis, then back to Ron. Sebastian, what can I do for you? You are live.
Yeah, I actually had a round 16 intriguing, like throwing the dart. I'm not calling him Puka, but I slowly rising for me. You know Johnny Wilson on the Eagles?
Yeah, I like him. It's crowded there, but I like him. He's decent. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be the whole Puka thing, but I don't know how I feel about AJ Brown's health. Paris Gamble hasn't been great, and today Devontae Parker just announced his retirement. So I think he's a candidate for if a lot of the, like, I'm not saying he's going to, like, crush the league, but I'm saying he might be a nice little value in the last pick of the draft.
I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, when Devontae Parker announced his retirement, I forgot he was in the league. So that doesn't do anything for me. But I do like him. He's a pretty good wide receiver. I think we got to be a little careful. I always say A.J. Brown's knees concern me, but I think we got to be a little careful of acting like A.J. Brown already passed away. Like he's currently healthy. Just signed a big fat contract. They wouldn't have given him that if he wasn't healthy. So I would say we are truly, looking at a huge year for A.J. Brown per start. And I do like Wilson a lot, though. He's not bad. If I had to give you my Puka Nacua, it would definitely be either Luke McCaffrey or Javon Baker. I think those two guys are really, really solid. Luke McCaffrey you can get at the tail end of your draft. I'm not saying he's a lock, but the fact that Adam Peters even went after him shows you how much he sees in this kid. He's a quarterback, wide receiver, running back. He's got all the abilities to do all of those things. Converted quarterback, so he's got the ability to throw the football if he needs to. I really like him as almost like a weird Deebo Samuel-esque Taysom Hill type of player for the Washington Commanders. And the nice part about Luke McCaffrey is he's a rookie. JD5's a rookie. They've been working together from the jump at rookie camp, and there's a really nice connection, as with Ben Sinnott. Ben Sinnott's the Tank Dell of the tight end crew. And this happens to be a Washington Commander. This is where a lot of people say I'm biased because they're like, oh, you just like JD5. So, no, it's that I like. Part of the reason I love JD5, it's all a cascading effect too. Washington was very much thought to be the team going to get JD5. So all of it started to build the hype because who's there? Adam Peters. Who's building this thing from the top as a GM? Adam Peters. Who put Sinnott and Luke McCaffrey on roster? This mastermind, Adam Peters. So there's rhyme and reason to it, to speak to it like Bob, was it Bob? Was it, I forget who it was. Elvis? Was it like Elvis was asking. It's like there is rhyme and reason to this. You know, and it's not bias involved just because I love JD5. This is a really good football team. Luke McCaffrey, Ben Sinnott, huge big-time sleepers, especially late in your draft. And I think Javon Baker is probably, we'll find out, he's a moon man. He's a moon man, so we better land.
The moon man dropping loads
I think
in outer space.
I think he's got the best chance of the deep calls to become the next, Puka. And I hate using that word because he's not going to be Puka. No one's ever going to be Puka. Like maybe someday down the road, to become what Puka was his rookie year is going to be very, very hard. You need the right mix of McVay and a rookie and opportunity and all that. But for the most part, I think that he has a lot of upside, this kid, Javon Baker. If I had to call out another player that could be potentially the next Tank Dell, if you want a bigger name guy that's ranking in the 5, 6, 7 round range, it would be Jaden Reed. He's obviously not, new to the league, but that's a nice type of player to go get that could have that explosion year. Keon Coleman is going to have a big time year. JSN, I like a lot in that wheelhouse of deep player. Jamison Williams, I love a lot. All of these you can find on my best picks in every single round. You'll see a bunch of these names listed in there. And another name, honestly, is becoming one of my favorite, and surprising to me, to be honest with you, because I wasn't super high on him entering the early part of the season. There's two combos that I'm starting to really smash to pieces in my best ball drafts. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, where you can get your first deposit 50% matched up to $250. And all you got to do is hit this link right now. We draft at midnight. We'll draft probably tonight. So hit this link now so we can draft tonight. There's two combinations of RBs that I'm going after in best ball like crazy. And that's James Conner, who I wasn't super high on at the beginning of the year, and I love Benson. I like the second part of that better, but the combination you can get, you can couple it back to back in the early 90s and then right at the end of the 90s or the 100 territory. 100 overall, you're getting Benson. 95 if you've got to, in 89 or 88 or whatever if you got to get Connor. And also Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. It's weird that both of these running back rooms could be ultra productive, and both of the players are going after in the 80s or after. In the person I was talking,
Brown?
The person I was talking about earlier wasn't Connor when I said I didn't expect to be drafting this guy and I didn't like him early on. It's actually Najee. I'm drafting Najee like crazy and then coupling him to Warren. And even if I don't couple him to Warren, I'll still draft Najee and I'll draft Connor and Benson if, let's say, I went hero or zero RB, through that, the 8th round or whatever. So I love those guys' values. This whole notion that the next Tank Dell, in my mind, doesn't have to be a rookie and an unknown player. There's certain versions of it. Like Jaden Reed to me could be that, he could explode. Absolutely explode. I love Jaden Reed. He's kind of a mini Deebo Samuel. Ron Navy.
Bengals backfield.
I love Zach Moss. 90 to 100 overall. What are we doing? Chase Brown after that? I mean, same thing. It's a little bit more watered down version of it maybe, but maybe produces just as well. I love Zach Moss and Chase Brown. That can be handcuffed in the 80s and beyond as well, which is so weird that you can get an entire running back room that's almost guaranteed to be pretty damn impressive. Ron Navy.
I'm going to do my draft day impression. Smitty, I'm sitting here eating my steak.
This guy's eating steak.
And I'm thinking about moving number 1.
What do you are you really, or are you just joking? Are you okay?
Look at your IG. I sent you pictures.
Number 1 in what? In Kenny's league?
No, I'm eating steak.
No, I know, but you're saying you're going to move.
Number one. I was just doing an impression of draft.
Oh, okay. So Ron's cooking this
Because
steak.
I need my steak.
Well, I said, are you serious or are you just joking? You said you were serious, so I was asking what you... Is that butter on there or garlic or what is that?
Yeah, butter.
Yeah, I like butter on steak, I'll be honest. That's a good choice.
Yep.
All right,
But
let me...
Najee,
go ahead.
Najee was... he's done a total different... He switched up his
Yeah.
his whole training thing.
Food.
He's looking really, really good.
Yeah, food, nutrition, everything. And this is what Aaron Jones did in order to stay healthy. It's not always the wisest thing to change up your build, the playing weight, and all that. But when you have a reason to do it, it's almost like let's try this because this didn't work. Let's try this. And he was effective at the end of the year, but he wasn't super effective at the beginning. He had the Liz Frank injury.
No.
Sometimes those foot injuries happen because you are carrying extra weight. You got more weight on the foot. It might have been hard for him to rehab that. He put on some pounds maybe. And he's like, I want to be light. And being light makes things like that less of a problem. When you're light, your knee issues go away to a degree when you're lighter. So there's that as well. I don't want him to go thin down to a point where he's not able to protect himself, but I don't think he's going to get that thing because he's kind of a heavier dude.
No.
It's not like Lamar. Lamar's a problem at 204, 205. I know people are saying, oh, he avoids big hits. You sure about that? I don't like Lamar at 205. I don't mind Lamar at 210, 215. I think playing at that weight, that's the weight that JD5 will be playing at. I'm fine with that. But playing at 205, what are we doing? A running back shouldn't play under 200 or under 205 if they can help it. If they're a smaller guy, they've learned to play at the smaller weight. Like, it's fine. Look at Warwick Dunn. Look at Kamara. Kamara weighed a lot more, but he was smaller. Everybody said he wouldn't be an every down back. He was built really well, and he beefed up. I'm not worried about RBs weighing necessarily the 205 territory. I'm not worried about Kyron. Everyone says I'm not worried about Kyron. Not to mention, I wouldn't be shocked if at the end of the year we hear Kyron played at like 5-6 pounds heavier, and then we hear about it later, or we hear about it soon. Kyron looks big. He's built well. I'm not worried about Kyron at all.
Hey, I got one last thing for you. You should come down the wormhole with me and take that last spot in Kenny's league.
I don't have time. I'm horrible. I'd be a horrible owner. I wouldn't even set my lineup. I don't have time for any of that.
I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
hand my money.
Of you.
Hand my money to you every year. If I had time, I would. I've cut down my leagues. I'll continue to. I have like 3 or 4 dynasty follower leagues.
Make content about it, good or bad.
Yeah, we do a draft every night. So I appreciate it though. I said I appreciate it though, but I can't. I definitely can't. But hey, call in when you're on the clock, and we'll discuss each of your picks. Go eat your steak, Ron.
I've already eaten it.
Oh, all right.
I'm that way.
All right, hold on. You can hold on. Go on mute or hold on for a second. Let's swing back around to these other callers. Let me get this caller on here. 602 caller 602. You're live. I assume you're calling from Phoenix. What is your name?
Yeah, this is Steve.
What's up, Steve from Phoenix?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, bro.
A couple of things. I've been watching a couple of your shows. A couple comments, questions, concerns, whatever you think. So you're Justin Jefferson. Okay. I think he's going to get paid. I don't know if you mentioned amon-ra, but
we can barely hear you, bro. We can barely hear you. Is there a way to maybe talk on speaker or like try to mix something up? It's kind of muffled.
Can you hear me?
A little bit better. Go ahead.
All right. So Justin Jefferson is going to get paid. There's no questions about it. I mean, amon-ra just got the highest paid wide receiver contract, and so Justin Jefferson is going to get paid.
I don't dispute that. I don't dispute that. I never once disputed that.
I mean, Amon-Ra, are we all going to say he's a top-tier wide receiver? No, he's a volume wide receiver.
He's a top 5 wide receiver. He's a top 5 wide receiver. Let's make sure.
Justin Jefferson's way better, though.
I would say I'm taking Justin Jefferson 100 times or every time out of, let's say, 10 times out of 10. But I don't understand where we're coming from on this because I've never once said JJ's not getting paid.
Okay, well, I mean, because, we're talking about, he's holding out. It seems like a little bit of concern because he's not plan on going to training camp or whatever.
The concern is how long does it take? Injuries happen when you hold out. Is he worried about his quarterback situation? Is he, the longer you wait, the more he costs. So this is not smart for the franchise to do. That's more of my bigger concern about this being a problem. This is a problem for Minnesota. Every week they've waited, he's gone up in price. Like, they've been waiting for what? You could have signed him for so much cheaper earlier.
Well, that amon-ra deal is going to make it worse because he's going to get more.
That's my point. That's my point. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So, and I think, in my opinion, you're really, really undermining, because, I listen to a lot of fantasy football, and I study it just as well as you do. You're really undermining what J.J. McCarthy is going to do to that offense.
Am I?
Yes, I know he didn't. He was involved at Michigan because I'm an Ohio State fan. So I know all about J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
But their offensive coordinator is going to get J.J. McCarthy going. That's what I believe.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's an opinion. So
yeah,
you're allowed to have it.
I know all about J.J. McCarthy at Michigan.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They traded up for him.
I mean, I know
for a reason.
that's fine. We can have different opinions, bro. It doesn't mean that neither one of us are right or wrong until it happens. There are definitely people that do like JJ, but you tell me why the entire fantasy football community hasn't moved Justin Jefferson up a single draft slot since the drafting of JJ McCarthy.
Well, because he's not going to start. We all know that. Sam Darnold's going to start.
So if he's so good, how come he's not starting week 1? What are we talking about?
Well, why is it the Atlanta Falcons starting their quarterback there?
Because they have Kirk Cousins, but you have Sam Darnold. Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold aren't in the same universe.
Well, that's right. I mean, we're not saying J.J. McCarthy's Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning.
Okay, but you're saying I'm undermining his upside or potential, but you're not really claiming him to be some superstar.
J.J. McCarthy will start week 8.
But who said? Where did I say J.J. McCarthy won't start week 8?
No, I know. I get you. It's just, are we really banking on Justin Jefferson's value on Sam Darnold?
No. But what I'm asking is, and I don't have a problem with you. I appreciate you. Number one, you're a fellow Arizonian, so you got my respect there.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you're saying. You called in with some concerns, and I'm trying to figure out what's your concern when I say JJ's number 6 overall, and I like that value because it packages in the concern I have for his quarterback situation. You're not screwing yourself by taking JJ 6. You're getting a very safe player. He's kind of QB proof. All these things I said during this show. Yeah. And then, but the concern, the concern is JJ McCarthy's not going to return him to number 1 or number 2 overall status. In my opinion, he's not a good enough quarterback to get him back to where Kirk Cousins was able to force feed JJ, which means that JJ, in my mind, stays around 5 or 6 overall for the rest of his career, at least initially. The initial part of the rest of his career, because now my concern is the Minnesota Vikings are married to J.J. McCarthy. So, that's why nobody's reacting the way that you would think they would, because it's settling in that, oh my God, no matter what happens in the next 2 or 3 years, think of Danny Dimes, think of Mac Jones, the team's going to be pot committed to him no matter how he looks for 2 or 3 years. And so he's married to this situation. Whereas if he just had Darnold, he might have a little bit more appeal in Dynasty to me, because I don't know what the future holds, and he might have, Sanders or one of the top rookie quarterbacks or Dak Prescott throwing to him in 2025. Having 2024 present us with his long-term marriage partner in J.J. McCarthy has me petrified that he'll never return to the number 1 overall player in fantasy football. It doesn't mean he's not great at 6, but McCarthy's no top 6-7 quarterback, bro. He's not. That's my opinion, but I feel very strongly about it.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I mean, he's a rookie quarterback. None of us know. He could be a bust, but he can also be a Hall of Famer.
No.
None of us know that.
Well,
you know what I mean? None of us know that.
I know, but
I don't know that.
But, bro, I mean, I'm pretty damn confident. Which is why I guess you could say I do what I do is to try and, present my take.
It's a prediction business.
But bro, I mean, J.J. McCarthy's shown you zero to say he's going to be you don't know if he'll be a future Hall of Famer. You don't know he will or won't be. He has shown you 0 to do that. And I'm not saying that Tom Brady showed us anything coming out either, but the problem is you have a quarterback right now that doesn't look the part in camp. And you're telling me out of your own mouth that he doesn't have the ability to even start week 1 over Sam Darnold. And you have a problem with my take about how I'm devaluing McCarthy when he can't even take Darnold's job. He can't even take Darnold's job.
Week 1. How many rookie quarterbacks?
A lot of them. It's a new NFL, bro. A lot of them. A lot of them. If you're an elite quarterback, you get taken inside the top 10, 11, 12. You're going to start week 1. And if you don't, your team's screwing up. Now, the Falcons are in a special situation because they have a quarterback and they've secured this up in a way that people are making fun of them left and right. But if they didn't have Kirk Cousins, Penix Jr. starts week 1, no doubt about it. JD5 start week 1. Caleb Williams start week 1. Joe Burrow starts week 1. Stroud starts week 1. What do you mean? It's the new NFL. The college game translates over to the pro game. As you said, you watch a lot of college football. You know everything about this and that. Like, it translates straight over now. This is a whole different ball game. If you are a top 10 overall pick as a quarterback, you better damn well start week 1 or your team screwed the pooch.
That's obviously that's the analogy, but I think a lot of us, because quarterback play was so wrong last year. Patrick Mahomes, quarterback 14 for the year.
Bro, that was
no one expected that. No one expected that.
I get it, but
You know what I
tell
mean?
me one thing McCarthy's shown you so far, especially the part that you're saying you're not going to take Sam Darnold's job, that makes you think that I'm not giving him enough credit or benefit of the doubt. That's all I'm asking. What has he shown?
Well, he's a national championship winner.
Well, that's it.
First off,
what was this? It was his team, bro.
That counts.
It was his team, bro.
I'm just saying, J.J. McCarthy, there's going to be something to be said there. But I do have one more comment before I get off here.
Go ahead.
You probably got other callers.
And I appreciate you, Steve. You can even stay on the phone. I don't want you to feel like you're not welcome here. I just you came in a little hot. You came in a little hot. Not that it was disrespectful on any level. You're a very respectful guy. But you came in hot with the whole I got some concerns.
I'm an Ohio State fan. How do you think I feel about J.J. McCarthy?
Okay.
If you know anything about rivalries, Ohio State, Michigan. Dude, we hate each other.
Okay.
Absolutely hate each other. But anyway.
Okay, go ahead with your...
Yesterday, I was listening about your running back talk, your tripods and all that. And I didn't get a chance to listen to it all. I think it was yesterday about your running back, break-evens, draft 1 and 2. I'm getting a little off base here. But I do have one take, because you didn't really seem to mention the little bit I did listen to, is, Breece Hall, Bijan, and Gibbs. Yes, they are elite. But there is one running back you're forgetting to mention, and he's going to really explode. And he has already, but Jonathan Taylor. I think he'll be a little bit, needs to be talked about, in my opinion.
And I don't disagree with you that there's a lot of upside there in round 2, because he's the round 2 guy. He's the guy that if you were to, let me show my tripod for everybody. Hang tight real quickly, callers. Hold on.
The tripod, likened to pyramids in ancient Egypt, consists of drafting one of Allen, Mahomes, or Hurts to go with one of these round 1 running backs and one of these running backs in round 2. The tripod.
So the player you're talking about, JT, Jonathan Taylor, would be going into this round 2 bucket. Not in the round 1, but the round 2 bucket. And I'll be honest with you, I almost threw him in here, but I want to make sure this is special. So people aren't like, oh, it's just any, like we had a couple comments already where people are like, you're just saying the obvious. I'm not saying the obvious because I'm picking and choosing a very select group of players. So if I was to throw every running back known to man that's falling into this second round or, bottom round 1, round 2 area, then it wouldn't be a useful strategy whatsoever. So I do pick and choose who I'm talking about. The one thing I'd say is you're not wrong that JT has the makings to be in that second round group, but the one thing I'd also say is that JT's never been the number 1 running back in the context that we've seen in previous years. His running back 1 season was the lowest running back 1 season we've ever had in fantasy for a long time. And if you were to take his point total and throw it into any other year, it would have been like 4, 3, 5. So it's not I'm saying to take it away from him, because there's circumstances that made no running back produce, and he did. So you can't really take it away from him. But he's had trouble staying healthy. He's got a vulturing quarterback in AR5. The offense will run through AR5. He'll have a ton of rushing touchdowns. There's some limitation to his ability to punch in scores, and he'll have to do a lot of it from like bigger, runs, 10 yards out, 7 yards out, 11 yards out. And that limits him a little bit. That puts a little bit of a cap on his upside, and why I don't think he's got the potential as the other three guys. But it doesn't mean he doesn't belong in the conversation. You're not wrong there. And part of me wavers whenever I see him in the second round, to mix things up a little bit on underdog, code Smitty.
Right.
I sometimes, maybe I need to take JT here just to have a few shares of him. But I don't like him as much as Barkley. I don't like him as much as Achane. And I sure as hell don't like him as much as Kyren Cup Decorum. But go ahead.
That Achane, and that Achane, I don't know. You want to talk durability? No, I mean Achane is full of drama. The man has already showed durability issues already.
You know what's so funny is I could have said before you even spoke that you would hate Achane, and I venture to say you're not a big Kyren guy either. You're worried about Corum because it's a type for a lot of people. Your type is to avoid this specific player, the risk-averse player, the guy that could, So I almost venture to say Kyren is not your guy. Like, you do not like Kyren in the second round, right? You do not like Achane in the second round. You probably are not really high on JD5, right? You probably like Caleb Williams.
There's a statistic here, and you can take this for what it's worth. When a running back was drafted like Kyren Williams the year prior, what was it, 15th, 16th round? That following year, when they explode and do what they did, the following year, they're a bust.
Bro, I've been doing this 20 years. I understand that.
Yeah.
No one's gonna be.
The statistics are high on that.
Okay,
what I mean?
but the statistics are high on it because you're lumping in everybody. You aren't lumping in a guy that played to the level he played. Not to mention you have a coach that's unlike any other coach. He's going to do his thing. He's going to feed his horse, and he's a one-man running back. He does not rotate his running backs. He rides them into the ground, a lot of people say, which in Dynasty you could say is a problem, whatever. But Kyren Williams, cuff him to Corum number one, easy to do. Like, it's embarrassing if you draft Kyren and you don't reach a round or so to cuff him to Corum. It's a grave mistake. But the crazy part is that you don't see that this guy's got top 5 running back value, and you can cuff him to the problem that everybody thinks is the problem, Corum. Cuff him for free in a redraft.
Right.
You draft a top 5 running back at the mid to late second round, and you're still hung up on the concern that it should be baked in. His ADP dropped from round 1 down to the almost late second round. I don't think you're adjusting for it. I think you're just saying the same thing you said when he was in the 5, 6, 7, 8 overall territory. You're just repeating it, and you're not realizing that maybe it's time to go out of the room, close the door, open up the door, and look at it from a new perspective and say, holy shit, I can get him now as my second drafted player, almost third drafted player, cuff him to the problem very easily with a coach that runs one RB, that has a very special system. Not to mention, look at Priest Holmes. Look at Arian Foster. There's handfuls and handfuls for every time you tell me you've got this number of players that had played really well that have dropped off. I could give you a name of a player that was undrafted free agent or a very late draft pick that absolutely was believed in by their coach. And once you break this threshold of, he's a late drafted running back, the draft capital's low. Like some guy called in the other day and said, Corum's got more draft capital than Kyren, so who do you think the team values more? As if Kyren didn't earn his keep already. Like Kyren could be the number 1 running back in the league this year in rushing touchdowns and rushing yards.
Right. And with all that said, Smitty, and I respect what you're saying, and we all know what Sean McVay does with his running backs, Todd Gurley and all. We get that. But why draft Blake Corum?
Why draft Blake Corum? Because if he's the problem, he's free, and he's a handcuff that secures you top 5 running back stats for 17 straight weeks. Blake Corum and Kyren is the safest running back in all of fantasy football.
Or draft other needs what they could have had. In my opinion.
Who are you going to draft at where Blake Corum is that is going to just press you and you're going to have a really bad year because you didn't scoop them up? Tell me the names of the players that you're going to get over.
I mean, I can't relive the whole draft. But
how about I help you? And I go. One thing I'll say, Steve, is we definitely don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. I can guarantee you. I even look, bro. I have a psych degree. I love to psychoanalyze everything. I could tell you were a non-Kyron person just by the mere mention of what you mentioned with the Achane situation. I knew 100% knew it. There's a reason I know that because
Achane is fantastic. The man is speed. That's what the coach at Miami's doing. He's revolving around speed, and we get that. But the man needs to stay healthy. Well, I mean, what good?
What about JT? What about J? How could you say that but not say it for JT? What are we talking about? Number two.
Taylor's got a little more miles on his.
But how does that change anything? But how does that change anything if you want to draft JT in round 2 this year with the mileage and all that considered, and not Achane?
Well, first of all, Jonathan Taylor's the workhorse. There ain't no one else he's sharing the ball with other than Anthony Richardson running the ball. Achane's got Mostert, and then the other running back they just drafted.
Well, Achane's also in the Debo Samuel wideback role, which is untouchable in terms of volume.
Right.
So he's not. It doesn't matter that they drafted right. It doesn't matter that Mostert's in the game. You look at the amount of games that Achane was an elite running back, while they had everybody, all hands on deck. He just exploded, bro. He had 11 touchdowns without.
Yards per run.
He's also on pace to be the top running back in the history of the NFL in yards per carry. He's an explosive player that you don't want to be the workhorse. This is a very different player than JT. JT with his mileage. But going to the Blake Corum question, you're telling me why draft Blake Corum? That question it makes me scratch my head to the point where I think I'm going to scratch the skin off. Blake Corum is going at 130 overall on ADP Best Ball Underdog Fantasy Code Smitty. You're talking about Zeke Elliott.
No. I'm talking about real NFL draft. Real NFL draft. Why did they even draft it? Why did Sean McVay draft it? If Kyron Williams is your
No. We're talking.
That's
no.
what I'm getting at.
Okay, but when we're talking about this situation a second ago, I said this is the number 1 fantasy football running back in 2024, and you said, well, why even cuff Corum? So you're saying why draft him? Because they got no one else, bro. Everybody needs a backup running back. JT's got a backup. Are you freaking out about JT's backup? I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, but where would you be drafting him? You'd be drafting him almost to the last pick, right?
No. If I'm a GM, I'm not worried about the feelings of anybody. If I had Kyron Williams, I would have taken Braylon Allen. I would have taken Jalen Wright. I would have taken any of those guys. Absolutely. I want my running back situation locked up. But am I sitting any one of these mediocre running backs who we like? Benson would have been a problem because I like Benson a lot. And Jonathan Brooks would have been a problem. This would have been a big discussion. I think you still could have cuffed him pretty easily, and it would have lowered Kyron's value into round 3. It would have made Jonathan Brooks kind of a little like murky, so you could cuff him pretty easily. There would have been some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the combo. But at the end of the day, bro, you're running a team where you run the running back into the ground, as you and I both said. So Kyron Williams, you need to have a backup. You need to have a backup. But do I think that he's going to get hurt because he got hurt last year? And everybody's saying that Achane's got to stay healthy, got to stay healthy. It's like parrots repeating what they hear. This guy had a knee injury that anyone would have suffered. And then when he came back in the game, someone jumped onto the same knee. And that would have happened to anyone. And he could have went back in. But Miami Mike McDaniel said, pull him out. Let's just be careful with it. So he wasn't as injury prone as everybody likes to pretend he was. Achane was not as at risk of injury like everyone continues to act like, in my opinion. I think it's a little overdone. But hey, bro, I can tell you right now, you're definitely not a Jaden Daniels fan.
No, well, he's going to start and he's going to produce. He's a running quarterback. You know what I mean? I'll draft him in a super flex league. He'd be a strong quarterback too for me.
But,
you know what I mean? In that offense? Oh, yeah.
But JJM's better. You think JJM's going to be better than him?
Small, but he's a small, fragile guy. You know, you got to put all that into.
He's not a small.
If he's going to run,
why is he a small? How tall is he, Steve?
He's tall, but he's fragile. He's real.
No, he's not fragile. He's not fragile.
I can't keep quiet anymore. J.J. McCarthy is 6'3", 217 pounds. J.D. Daniels is 6'4", 215 pounds. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
But is J.J. McCarthy going to run like J.D. Daniels is?
Who cares?
JJ's going to be out of the league this year.
Bro, is he going to run? Is he going to run? Hey, he's going to run like JJ or like JD5's going to? You mean 1,134 yards and 10 touchdowns? No, he's not. The answer is no. He's not going to run like that.
But he's going to.
So?
He's going to run.
What
key code of Lamar Jackson and all that. If you cannot throw that football.
What do you mean he cannot throw the football? He's the best throwing quarterback in this draft class. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not talking about that. We're talking about him running. And if he isn't able to throw.
Why would he not be able to throw? He's the best quarterback in this draft class, throwing the football.
Well, you don't know that yet.
I do know that. I do know that because you know what I know. You know what I have. You know what I have to say as evidence. 3,800 yards and 40 passing touchdowns and 4 INTs, with 35 pocket touchdowns. Like he's the best pocket passer in the last decade to come out of college, bro.
Okay, and what did we say about RG3?
Oh my God, Steve! This is just. I don't know I don't know if you're pulling out answers out of your pocket or using AI to respond. Like, give me another question. Like, what are you talking? Everything you got something else that just has to be refuted, and I'm refuting it.
No, you asked me like you assume I don't like Jane Daniels. I didn't say nothing. You assume that.
But I'm assuming because I'm pretty good at analyzing these things, especially when someone has a certain type and they're typecasting everybody. And yeah, you came out and talked good about Jaden Daniels for a second. We knew the butt was coming, and you certainly brought up the negative thing that, well, if you can't throw the ball, what's going to happen to you? He's going to get hurt.
Run the ball. We all do know he is going to run with that football, and that will produce fantasy production.
But give me a reason why you think. But you got to be able to throw the ball. What makes you think this guy isn't better than J.J. McCarthy throwing the football? This guy's light years ahead of J.J. McCarthy throwing the football. Light years. This is the best pocket passer. No. You have zero stats.
I don't know about that.
I can give you stats. You like stats. He's the best pocket passer in the last 10 years. 67% completion percentage on 20-plus yard throws in 2023 is the best in FBS in the last decade, bro. The last decade.
Well, I mean... And that's good, and Jay Daniels could be very well, but college systems mean a lot, bro. J.J. McCarthy had Blake Corum. He didn't throw that ball 35 times a game.
Okay, yeah, because he ran 1,134 yards. So you just ended up stepping on your own statement there. Because this guy, what business did he have throwing 38, 12, and 40 touchdowns when he was running himself 1,134 yards and 10 touchdowns? You just proved my own point.
Yeah. I mean, I never said I didn't like it. You assumed I didn't like it.
Because you came out with the butt and started talking about how he's got to stay healthy. He's a scrawny little kid. You started saying he's a scrawny kid that's going to get injured. Is basically what you said.
Well, you just said he was small. His body frame, he needs to put on some muscle.
He's 210 pounds and he's 6'4", and he's actually a big guy. What are we talking about? I feel like you're repeating things you're hearing, bro. I feel like it's parrot season. Like, what are we doing?
Okay. Well, I disagree with whatever statistics you're saying on his body frame because look at Anthony Richardson, bro. That dude's a monster. And he could not stay healthy because he ran a lot. Lamar Jackson, we all know, great quarterback. He gets hurt, and he's a monster.
This guy's just pulling out. I appreciate you, Steve. Steve, call it. Let's try it. Let's run it back tomorrow and see if we can. All right, later. I just can't. There's only so much I think that the audience can take about going around and around on this ride over and over. No matter what you say to this guy, he'll just come back around and come back around over and over and over. What are we talking about? All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Who was it that was speaking up? And I'll let you finish.
That was me, Elvis.
Elvis, go ahead, Elvis. Why don't you wrap it up?
I don't know how you did that.
Patience, man. Two kids running around, climbing all over me while I'm trying to do TPS reports here for the show. That's how.
I mean, I just want to say a couple of things. So, number one, J.J. McCarthy and Jaden Daniels are identical, and J.D. is actually
in size. He's saying he's not saying identical.
In size, and J.D.'s taller. J.D.'s taller too. On top of it, and then on top of it, J.J. McCarthy. I've watched the draft for a very long time. Every draft from a quarterback standpoint has a Mitchell Trubisky just laying in the first round somewhere, and there's always one. And J.J. McCarthy is the one. He's the worst quarterback in the first round this draft by far for a lot of different reasons. I think the media just captures this Disney movie-like thing for football and during college, and then it never translates into like real life, which is the NFL. But JJ McCarthy, I would be really surprised if JJ McCarthy was better than Mitchell Trubisky, because he didn't do anything in college. Like he had the best receiving core, the best offensive line, the best running backs, the best defense. He literally had everything, and he didn't make plays. He wasn't like Stetson Bennett. Georgia was better than
all right. Hey, I'm going to speed you along here because I got to get out of here. Perps, appreciate you dropping the memberships. I think Perps just did it again. Perps is out of here. Everybody give Perps a thank you. Drop an eggplant emoji, a fire emoji, a handshake emoji. Let him know how you feel for dropping all the amazingness. Thank you, Perps, for doing that. Perps, you still here? Appreciate you. Red says it's his birthday. He says, hey, brother, just trying to get a shout out tomorrow. I'll be 28. Appreciate you. Bros Pros. Dalvin Cook is a UFL running back. Appreciate you. And Kenwar dropping the $20 holler.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Kenwar dropping the $25 holler. Actually, Kenwar, appreciate you dropping that. Kenwar says, I traded J.J. Kyler and Tua for Hurts, Devontae Smith, and Kyren in a 20. Woo! Okay, so J.J., Kyler, Tua for Hurts, Devontae Smith, Kyren, 2025 second-round pick. I win or lose. Dynasty 1. I was going to say Superflex. This is tough because you traded two but it's one QB. It's one QB Dynasty. J.J. Kyler, Tua, Hurts, Smith, Kyren. I like it. I mean, you could argue the J.J. side just because we love J.J. so much, but to the point of this whole show, it makes it hard to expect number 1 or number 2 overall player value. So I love this move. Give me Hurts all day long over Kyler, even though I love Kyler. Give me that 25 seconds, okay? I like that. Devontae Smith and Kyren over. Yeah, I take that. Kenwar, I take the Kyren side. I run. I appreciate you dropping that $25 holler. Kenwar, are you still here? Appreciate you dropping that. Red, are you still here? Want to make sure you guys heard me. And Perps, are you still here? Perps to the moon. Perps, thank them, guys. All right, hey, Elvis, I didn't mean to rush you, but 30 seconds, go. Close it out.
What do you think is going to be the most important thing to look at in terms of the difference between coaches, like an offensive coordinator, and like the teammate for a player, like the JJ situation, or even like Zach Moss with Cincinnati, because they're going to throw a lot, in Cincinnati.
What's the question though? What's the difference between what?
Which factors in more in fantasy? The coaching, like the type of offensive coordinator you have, or the teammates, like Keenan Allen is stuck with like 3 other receivers.
I think we've learned that it's case by case, like anything, bro. Like look what the Atlanta Falcons were doing with no quarterback and Arthur Smith. Look at what JJ and Chase were doing kind of slightly differently, but still producing without their quarterbacks. Look what look at the New York Jets did without Aaron Rodgers, and look how some coaches are misusing RBs and not giving, Javonte his shot before he got injured, and now we'll never know if Javonte would have ever been what we thought he could have been. There's so many ways to look at it. There's no answer. It's an individual case-by-case situation, but I will say I'm taking into account GM as well as coaching and offensive coordinating and all that into a little bit more consideration when I talk about a player's upside, because it is hard to survive in environments like what Arthur Smith was providing. Like, we have to try and, as best we can, see those things for what they are. And even more so when we see something completely the opposite, like from the top level down, from Adam Peters, GM in Washington, and what we knew he was going to do. As soon as they brought in Adam Peters, we knew he was going to hire the right guys, put the right players in place. He's a scouting genius. And so that gives you a level of confidence with what you're about to see for Washington. Caserio, what he's doing in Houston, that was easy to see that coming too, because of the way this guy's been operating since he got there. I just think that, like, you'd have to give me each situation individually. There's just no way to blanket statement answer that question. All right, hey, appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, hit me with some examples next time. All right, later. Sebastian,
Will do.
30 seconds. I got to go quick.
Here's my response to Bro's statement about J.J. McCarthy. He's going to go out there. He's going to boom. He's not going to bust. Like, whatever. The money talks. If it was like that, JJ's ADP would have gone up. We would have heard better things. And it's just the money says we're still uncertain. And that's
you mean the money in terms of the people buying him in drafts? Okay, yeah. Just
Exactly.
clarify what he's trying to say. Not contract-wise in the NFL. He's saying that the fantasy football players, and on a grand scale, have not moved. This is what my earlier point was. Have not moved JJ's ADP since JJ McCarthy arrived in Minnesota. Have not moved it one single draft slot. That tells you that people have no confidence right now, at least, in JJ McCarthy. And that previous caller, Steve, who I appreciate, and I don't want him to hate the show now because he got blasted, but he kind of made his own bed coming in here, swinging. Even though he's swinging respectfully, he was definitely trying to do little baby jabs as he came in, and none of the punches landed, by the way, Steve. But I get where the concern is for everybody on JJ this year, but I even take it further and say I just don't know that I like the fact that JJM is their project quarterback for 2 or 3 years, no matter what. He could fail this year. They're not moving on. Not unless he's such a bad failure, and I don't think he'll be. I think he's a good quarterback. He's just not a great quarterback. And could he become great through coaching and all that? Maybe. I'm not ruling it out. I'm not saying it's impossible. And you've never once heard me say J.J. McCarthy's a bust. I've never said those words. I've never said Caleb will not be good physically. I just wonder if it's all going to work out for all the other extra things that go into being a leader and trying to lead in Chicago. Like, it's, out of all places, is a tough place. I even said, I went on record several times, I said, if JD5 ended up going number 1, surprisingly, I'd be pissed off as hell. I'd be so mad. I'd be ripped up. I'd be gutted on that. And then Caleb went to Washington. He'd have a better chance of succeeding with his former QB coach, now offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, because they know each other. Their families are like this. They know each other very well. Caleb would have had a much better time trying to be evolved and matured along. I don't know that I would have loved him at all. I'm just saying he would have been a better bet. But swinging back to JJM, I mean, not one drafter is feeling differently, it seems, on average, about JJM being there as the QB for Justin Jefferson. And if this caller who called in is saying he's going to be so good, and I'm not giving him, what he said was I was diminishing, or whatever he said, JJ's upside and potential and what he's going to bring to the table, then why were some of the next words out of his mouth that he won't beat out Sam Darnold? You know what I mean? Like, how can those two things coexist? He's going to prove me wrong, but he can't beat out Sam Darnold? I mean, what in the hell's going on here? What's going on back there? All right. See you later, Sebastian. We'll see you tonight drafting. I don't know, a little bit after midnight. Bob, finals 30 seconds. Go. Hurry.
What are your thoughts on Michael Wilson and Zay Jones? Will Michael Wilson put up Hollywood Brown numbers when D-Hop was there, or will it be a maze with Zay Jones like in Jacksonville? Michael Wilson's out of Stanford. Was supposed to be kind of good. I think he put up decent numbers last year, like 500 yards, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns. Hopefully he takes a big leap this year now that he has another weapon to work with, or somebody to take the pressure off him.
Yeah, I don't know. Repeat that one part of the question. Sorry, I was handling something. Repeat the last part.
So what are your thoughts on Michael Wilson?
Oh, Michael, yeah. Zay Jones.
Yeah.
And then last part.
Will he put up numbers like Hollywood Brown did when DeAndre Hopkins was in Arizona?
I would say, it's possible. One of them is like a 900 to 1,000 yard receiver, barely. Like, or could be right there. One of them could be, or they just rotate and combine. They would have produced 1,000 yard season if they were one wide receiver. I like both of them. I think it's tough to know which one, to be honest with you. I'd be lying to you if I was like, no, it's Wilson. No, it's Zay. Zay's coming into the offense and doesn't know it as well. So part of me thinks that he'll have a little bit of a disadvantage in terms of that. But then again, they don't necessarily have to play the same position. So maybe Zay goes out there and he's also kind of a veteran. So he brings, quick learning to the table. I don't know. I'm not too sure. I would say that I don't mind them for the Cardinals. I don't mind them for football. But I certainly don't know that I love like banking on either in fantasy unless it's like my last drafted wide receiver. But there's certainly potential for.
Are you drafting any either of them?
At the end, sure. Like if I need a receiver and Zay's there, it's kind of crafty as your last wide receiver or one of your last wide receivers. Wilson definitely is one of my last wide receivers. I mean, Kyler's capable of feeding 2 players. I just don't know you're going to get like 2,000 yard receivers out of it because Marvin Harrison Jr. and McBride, that's a lot of targets, bro.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, later. Ron, final thoughts.
Yeah, since we're on the J.J. McCarthy story, is everybody forgets that he was in a run defense. And I know you're touting JD5 a lot. He had a great, wonderful year. But look at his years prior to. Look at his first 3 years in ASU. He wasn't that great because of the system there. And when he got to LSU, even his first year at LSU, he wasn't that great. He had 17 touchdowns. Now look at McCarthy. McCarthy's had a better passing rating his all 3 years that he played, with the exception of this last year with JD5. McCarthy only threw 3 and 4 picks, and they were given both the same amount of, almost the exact same amount of attempts in passing, and other than last year, McCarthy had a better passing yard average. So all this talk about McCarthy doesn't really going to be, not as good or whatever. I think that's not true. He's with Sullivan now. Sullivan is not Sullivan, but you know what I'm talking about. Sullivan's with the Steelers. The head coach for Minnesota.
Yeah. Sorry, Ron. I'm doing 10 different things here. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, I know.
I'm giving you the floor. Why?
Is other than that, what sets JD5. McCarthy also ran for, I think it was 4 touchdowns last year, 5 the year before. So he's mobile. He might not run it as much as JD5, but just to put him on the backwash saying he's going to, not amount to anything and he's going to be a project and this and that.
Well, why isn't he earning the job in week 1? Why is he, you know what I mean? Like, I get that there's upside. I've never called him a bust. I never called him a bust, but to me, he shows.
How do we know that he's not starting?
Because
how do we know that he's not starting?
Because there's already a lot of reports that are saying that Sam Darnold is very, very, very favored unless there's an extraordinary turnaround, which could be. And I've never once shut the door on any of it. I'm just saying if word is this kid's not necessarily impressing yet and he's not failing. It's really early on. But we're hearing a lot of raving reviews from JD5, Penix Jr., Caleb Williams. We're not hearing rave reviews out of Drake May, JD5, or I'm sorry, JJ McCarthy. There's concern because those are the two quarterbacks that we worried, aside from Caleb, that we worried had some potential, growing pains were going to be needed. They're not necessarily in the same caliber of player. There's nothing that McCarthy brings to the table that makes me think he's even has a shot at being as good as JD5. Not to mention just the sheer eye test alone, which is a part of it, right? I could say whatever I want. You could say whatever you want. Everybody could say whatever they want. That's the whole beauty of fantasy football. I have nothing that my eyeballs have seen to show for that makes me think that McCarthy's going to be a top 10, top 7 quarterback in the National Football League. Now, granted,
He threw for 22 touchdowns in a run offense in Michigan each of his last 2 years.
I know, but you can't just say, well, he would have done better if he wasn't in this offense. He wouldn't have done like he didn't. Those aren't great, crazy numbers, Ron. I mean, that doesn't do anything for me.
Well, either was JD5 when he played for ASU. He threw for 17 touchdowns.
But Ron, he just had a 40 touchdown passing, 50 total touchdown season. Doesn't matter. You can't bring up his first year and start saying, "Oh, JJ McCarthy never did it," and JD5 his rookie year or his freshman sophomore year.
Did he not spend 5 years in college? That 5th year, if he would have just done a 4-year, he would have had subpar numbers.
Ron, you can't take away what he did, Ron. You can't take away what he did and add to what JJ McCarthy didn't do. Like, what are we doing here?
What do you mean?
You're
not. Look at the numbers.
I am looking at the numbers.
They're almost identical.
No, they're not.
Last year.
No, they're not. So you can't say. It doesn't matter. You can't say they're identical. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Real here. Let's get real.
Yeah, we are. Though, look at the entire chat. You can't start comparing JJ McCarthy's numbers to JD5's. We're talking nonsense here. We're talking nonsense.
Rating, 165 rating, 167 rating. His last year, 29.91. Only 4 interceptions, 22 touchdowns. The year before, 5 interceptions, 22 touchdowns.
22 touchdowns. 22 touchdowns. Wow. 22 touchdowns, huh?
9.8. What was other than last year?
Ron, I'm not gonna have a conversation about JD5's worst years and try and compare these two quarterbacks. You can't ignore that coming out of college, he had nearly 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns and 4 INTs. I'm not going back to just ASU and saying, well, if we look at this guy came out of college Heisman Trophy winner, 3,840 touchdowns, 4 INTs, 1134, best college quarterback in the last 10 years inside the pocket.
1 year.
Doesn't matter.
1 year.
Doesn't matter.
1 year.
Okay,
what did
so
he do his other 4 years in college?
So what do you want? Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow didn't do it for 4 years, Ron? Are you gonna say Joe Burrow wasn't a great prospect? You can say Joe Burrow's amazing season shouldn't be counted? What are we doing here? It's cherry picking. We're cherry picking. We're cherry picking.
You're pigeonholing McCarthy and what he's done in a run offense. You're pigeonholing him, and you're not giving him, I don't think, the proper accolades that he actually deserves, because what he did is amazing in a running offense.
Okay, I disagree. I think that we don't know what he is. That's true. That's a true statement because he was in an offense that didn't allow you to really see it. But he's also going somewhere where he's got big shoes to fill, and he's got to feed a bunch of different people. And I'm not sure that he's going to be even remotely prepared for it for the entirety of the 2024 season. So therefore, I think JD5 is in the running for not only Rookie of the Year, But a guy that people are like, can a rookie actually win MVP? Can a rookie actually be this good? Like, this is how good he can be right out of the gate. JJM's going to be a project, Ron. Whatever way you spin it, he's going to be a project.
He's not a project.
He is absolutely a project. Could he be a successful one? Sure. Will he be an elite quarterback? No, I don't think so. 0% of me believes that. I think this guy could be not only an elite quarterback, this is a league MVP caliber type player. In some time, he will be one of those considered. If not his rookie year, he won't be necessarily considered, but people will be like, could you do it? He's rookie of the year, but like, he's so good. Like, would you give it to him? Like, could he be in the running? This is going to be such an unbelievable season from an unbelievable quarterback that has the AR5 but can throw the ball. This guy's 10 times the thrower that JJ McCarthy is.
That's not true. He did it for 1 year.
Okay, Ron. I disagree. I don't care if he did it for 1 year. I don't care if he did it for 1 year. Your guy did 22 touchdowns for multiple years. It's great.
You give me JJ McCarthy and JJ Jefferson, and you give me Addison, and you give me Jones even, because Jones is going to be underrated because he's going to be the main back there, so he's going to get a lot of work. And you give me Hutchinson over Dotson, over any of those Washington players.
Okay,
you give me that group right there.
Well, we'll figure out a challenge: Minnesota versus Washington this year.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
You can put it on the board that if he gets a chance in there,
I think you're just trying to fight it because
bold prediction.
I think you're trying to fight it.
JJ gets in there and starts right away, he'll have better numbers than JD5 at the end of the year. That's a bold prediction.
Ron, I love how Ron had to come in. Captain Saver Ron had to come in. And just because McCarthy was getting beat up on, come in and try and support the McCarthy stance. And I appreciate that about Ron. I really do appreciate that about Ron. He'll be there to save the day anytime I ever am in need getting beat up. He'll be there. But like Ron, this is a ridiculous conversation about taking out what what JD5 did his senior year and try and act like that doesn't tell the story. We have to go all the way back. Not to mention, I think he had 17 touchdowns the year prior, and J.J. McCarthy had what, the 22? Like, even in a bad year for him. And he runs for 10 touchdowns every season, so you add that together, he had 27 total touchdowns. Like, so it's
every
still...
season? Run for 10 touchdowns every season.
Well, he had... You're going to make me pull this up.
No, he hadn't.
You're going to make me pull this up. You're going to make me pull this up. Back to back years. Ron, he had 11 touchdowns the year prior on the ground, 885 yards. Come on, bro, stop. Back to back years with double-digit rushing touchdowns.
And then what did he? How many touchdowns did he have in 2022? 17.
Oh,
how many in 2021?
How many did J.J. McCarthy have? 22.
In 2017. He also been playing in college for 5 years.
But who cares? Ron, are you really going to go back in time and judge the man for seasons that weren't as good as the season he came out with? Like, really?
Going back and you're doing. Yes, we have to go back.
Okay.
We have to go back.
All right.
You have to look at the past history on
I gotta run.
You go on some and you quit being selective. I'm
doing it case by case. This is how I feel, JD. Ron, there's no argument here that makes sense the way you're doing it. It doesn't make sense. You're trying to cherry pick out the most recent seasons for these guys. You're not trying. It'd be one thing if I was trying to go to 2022, leave out 2023, and I was doing that. We're literally looking at a quarterback that scored 50 touchdowns last year, and your beef is that he hasn't done it for multiple years in a row. Therefore, we're going to go back to 22 touchdown J.J. McCarthy and go, he's 22 touchdowns every year. He's like clockwork. This guy's absolute Trubisky in the making.
In a running offense, 22 touchdowns is pretty amazing considering how much they ran the ball.
Okay, well, that's a nice assumption that's going to translate, Ron. But I can't work with, oh, well, he did it in a run offense, so maybe he'll be a good passer. Maybe he'll be a great passer. I don't know.
Just like JD5 went over 300 attempts.
This looks like a running offense. 1,134 yards and 10 touchdowns by himself.
Completion percentage. They were both 68 and 72 completion percentage. They're both very comparable in their completion percentages with their attempts. And actually, other than last year, JD5 had the better passing average, as far as yardage goes. But before that,
I don't care about before that. I care about what JD5 is right now, Ron. I understand you want 4-year resume. I don't need a 4-year resume. I need a 1-year resume, and it'd be nice to have 2, but I'll accept the 1 year if he blew out of the water like he did.
We were all over Bryce Young last year too, weren't we? And he busted. We got all over
but Bryce Young has nothing to do with JD5.
Back, and he didn't pan out.
Well,
so
Bryce Young is okay. That's fine, but I don't have to wait for anything. If JD5 is my top breakout quarterback, he's my top breakout quarterback. And if JJM's your breakout quarterback, then JJM can be your breakout quarterback. But JD5 to me is going to absolutely smash it out of the park, and that's my stance.
He's very well good. I don't disagree with that. I think he's very good, but I don't think McCarthy's low grade, I don't think he's just mediocre, low-grade beef. I think they're both choice, and they have the ability to be in prime.
That's the tender, protective nature of Ron Navy, and I appreciate that. All right, Ron, I gotta go. Appreciate your super chats, your gifted memberships, your aggressive take, and we'll see you later tonight. All right, later, bro.
Later.
Appreciate you. Later.
Later, chat.
All right, guys, I'm out of here. Appreciate you all. Thanks for being here. I'll be back tonight. We'll be live drafting on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Ron is hilarious because, you could come in. I could have come in hard on JD5, and he would have just backed JD5. I know it. I know Ron. We all know Ron. Hit that link in the live chat, Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. That link will insert promo code Smitty for you, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to 50%. So you do a $100 deposit, they'll give you $50. You do a $500, they'll give you $250. You do the minimum of 10, they'll give you 5. So Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty, link in the description if you're watching the replay of this show. Link in the live chat if you're in the live chat, and code Smitty gets it done. We'll be drafting tonight. I'll see you all later. Appreciate you. JJ is to me a concern. Watch the beginning of the show if you want to know why I'm a little bit concerned for the long term for him, because I don't know that he's got the guy he needs. We'll find out. And again, I've never once said JJ's going to bust. Or JJ McCarthy's going to bust. I just don't think JJ McCarthy's an elite quarterback. So it's a problem for me that we've got him married to JJ Justin Jefferson for the next foreseeable 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I'd much rather have the ambiguity than to have it as BJJM. And it should have been Penix Jr. The Vikings should have traded up and got Penix Jr. I'll see you all later tonight. Thank you to my gifted members. Thank you, Perps. Thank you, Ron Navy. Anybody that gifted memberships. Ron Navy gifted, let's see here. How many did he gifted? Perps gifted 10. Perps and Ron both gifted 20. Perps gifted 50. Super chats. We have Ron with the $100 hauler. Ron gets his bold prediction. JJ McCarthy will outscore JD5, said Ron. And Ron was a big JD5 guy before the show began, but his inner Ron came out, and he's full JJ McCarthy now. Appreciate you, Ron. $100 hauler from Ron Navy to the moon. Ron to the moon. Passionate man. We still appreciate Ron no matter what. His feathers get ruffled a lot, like we said, but we appreciate our Ron Navy. Sean Hernandez. Young dropping a super chat. Young, appreciate you. Kenny Powers coming in strong. Mark Cleveland coming in strong. Mark, appreciate you. Let's see here. Kenny Powers, thank you again, pal. Kenny Powers with another one. Calvin Krim coming in hot with a super chat tonight. Calvin, appreciate you dropping a super chat. Calvin to the moon. We've got Kenwar. Kenwar, I hope you're still watching, pal, and you heard my response. Bros Pros, appreciate you for dropping your super chat as well. Red, happy birthday. Red, hope you're still watching and heard me shout you out for your birthday wish. Appreciate you, Red to the freaking moon. Kenwar, all of you, Bros Pros, Calvin, Powers, Mark Cleveland, Ron Navy, Young, Hernandez, and Sean Daly. Appreciate you all. I'll see you all tonight on the channel as we live draft.